The Toronto Raptors make history for all the wrong reasons. The Raptors had a winning record in home openers. They had a winning record in season openers. They did not win this game. And on the 30th anniversary, they had Vince Carter, TJ Ford, Jerome Williams, a lot of Raptor legends in attendance, Matt Bonner in the studio, Vince Carter on the call, Alvin Williams on the call. You got the purple jerseys, it's festive, and you come out and you get blown out. Embarrassing. An embarrassing loss. And make matters worse, you lose by 30. How appropriate. It wasn't all bad, but it was a lot of bad. And we're going to have to talk about it. And we're going to have some pretty, embarrassing crash outs that are going to look silly within a week. But we're also going to have some tough truths. Some tough truths about the end of this roster, a tough truth about the center play tonight, and a tough truth about what Scottie Barnes has to do to be better. Because when you are the franchise player, 9 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists, it's just not going to cut it. It's just not going to cut it. And a team worst minus 33 is also not going to cut it. It wasn't all on Scottie. And I think a lot of people crashing out online are going to make this all about Scottie. And you know what? I'm going to borrow a philosophy from Joe Mazzulla. He should welcome that. Because you know what? The reason that 9 points is not acceptable is because people have come to expect more from you. And you shouldn't jump from that, or you shouldn't duck that. You should be happy that people expect more from you. It would be worse if people expected you to score 9 points. The Toronto Raptors started out pretty okay. I want to say that, like in the first quarter. And before I even start on that note, we'll look at the okay, so let's just have some housekeeping here. One, call-in link is in the description. We will get some call-ins after the initial breakdown and just taking a little bit of a look at some of the embarrassing turnovers via film. We will get to that. Okay. So we will take call-ins after. Link is in the description. We will take a look at the box score. And then afterwards, when the post game is up, we'll take a listen to what Darko and Scottie and all those guys had to say about this loss. So overall, before we even start, a fully healthy Toronto Raptors team with Kelly Olynyk, with Immanuel Quickley for a full game, with Scottie Barnes dialed in, with Jakob Poeltl not discombobulated, with Bruno Fernando hopefully out of the rotation, possibly out of the country, possibly out of the planet, not on my team. A fully healthy Raptor team with RJ Barrett, Kelly Olynyk, Bruce Brown, Jacoby Walter, all those guys in tow against a fully healthy Cleveland Cavaliers team. The Cavaliers would be favored to win that game. So when you start stripping away the layers of what can make you competitive and keep you in basketball games, which is the RJ Barrett element of it, the Bruce Brown and Kelly Olynyk stabilizing the second unit, you really do end up in a disaster zone. And I think for what it's worth, for whatever it's worth, the Raptors starters, who admittedly right now feature an Ochai Agbaji in place of an RJ Barrett, which is a massive fall off in terms of offensive talent, gravity, shooting, all of it, held up. Immanuel Quickley looked good. In the first quarter, for the first 5-6 minutes, Scottie Barnes looked good. Jakob Poeltl, mixed bag so far. Grady Dick looked awesome. The Raptors were in this game. They really were. They were totally there. And then we had that unit, that second unit with Davion Mitchell. I don't remember exactly what the substitution was, but it was like you looked out there and Scottie Barnes was out and Immanuel Quickley went out and neither one of them was on the court. And I'm like, oh, this lineup is toast. And it was Chris Boucher splashing that three in the corner. And it's Bruno Fernando on the court. And man, it was like when Bruno Fernando came in, that turnover, steps out of bounds. We can make all the excuses about the whistle tonight. It was not good. The whistle was not good. That blatant foul on Grady Dick, that was a foul. On any other basketball game in any other planet, 100 times out of 100, that's a foul. Scottie got fouled a couple times too, And on the other end, you get ticky-tack fouls called on you. They're getting away with murder on the other end. A little demoralizing. So the Raptors do get down big. Okay, take a look at the game flow, because this game really came down to the second quarter, and they just could not get it back. They really could not get it back. Let's take a look here in terms of the game cast. So, I mean, I'm not kidding. They kept up with it. It was 32-31 with 21 seconds to go. Chris Boucher made a three-pointer. Then it's at the buzzer. Donovan Mitchell, gets the free throws, 33-32, and that was it. The Cavs never looked back from that point, and it was that lineup right there. And you had a healthy margin. I would say it was like 22 to it was right around there. Right around there. 22-17, it all looked okay. And then you started seeing it go apart. But all hope was not completely lost. You were still within the game, and then just a cataclysmic meltdown, a series of just errors upon errors, and it was a run. It was like what, a 9-0 run, 11-0 run. It was crazy. And then next thing you look up, it's 60-48, 46. And it was just turnovers. It was unforced errors. It's Jakob being very sloppy with the basketball. It's Scottie Barnes having absolutely nowhere to go with his dribble right now. It's settling for mid-range jumpers because you don't want to attack the paint with Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. And that's fair. That's fair. If you have two bigs camping on the paint and they're two of the best shot blockers in the NBA, I got news for you. There's a reason that defense is as good as it is. There's a reason why most people think the Cleveland Cavaliers are a lock to make the playoffs. And they were healthy tonight. They were healthy tonight, and you were not. You were at home, and maybe you could make a case. maybe the moment got a little too large for some people, right? I watched Anthony Edwards last night, who I don't think anyone would deny is a legit top 20 player, and some people think is a future face of the league. And he scored 27 points on 25 shots, and people were complaining he had no spacing. He had Julius Randle. He had, Rudy Gobert. He had Dante DiVincenzo, and people are saying he has no spacing. And he was going up against the Lakers. I think the Cavaliers are a better team than the Lakers. And I think the Toronto Raptors are significantly worse than the Minnesota Timberwolves. Are you going to overreact to this? Are you going to completely lose your mind? That's up to you. I'm not here to defend it any other way. Do I feel a little bit, sorry that I've been pretty much gassing this team up for like a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, 6 months, 8 months, just telling you like, man, it's going to look better. It's going to look better. No, it's one game. The New York Knicks got blown out way worse than this by the Boston Celtics. I know the score would tell you otherwise, but it was worse. If you watched it, it was worse. And they played well, and they were relatively healthy too, right? So you got to look at it that way, is you're not supposed to win a game like this if you're fully healthy. You're definitely not supposed to win it when you're not healthy. Where you would complain about is, where is the gut check? Where is the compete level? Where is the heart? You're getting beat to loose balls. See, it's one thing to get beat by 30 because the other team catches fire from 3 and you're outmatched talent-wise. I get that. I understand that, and that's perfectly fine. It is one thing to get, beat by 30 when, you are just that depleted and the coach just sits out your starters in the second half. I can understand that. But to get beat, to be down by 22 and to see them competing harder for the basketball, them diving for loose balls, them going over you for rebounds, them boxing out harder, that is not acceptable. And this is where, keep going, bro. Like if this is the day you were living for so that you could say this, cool. That's okay. That's fine. The thing with Scottie is his bad games look this bad, right? He's not the first superstar to go 3 for 14 in a game. But most of those stars will take 12 more shots and they'll make it respectable. They'll get your 20, right? They'll keep shooting until they get 20. Scottie's not going to do that. He played with some of the most abysmal spacing in this game. When he had some spacing, it looked okay, but it was stagnant. It was stagnant. This offense was stagnant. It was disgusting to watch. And you know what? We know the Raptors are capable of playing better than this. I know that. All is not for loss. There were some bright moments, and we can talk about that too. Jamal Shead. I thought Jamal Shead, I said it in his first preseason game. Give it preseason. He will beat out Davion Mitchell. He will beat out Davion Mitchell for the backup spot. Didn't happen. Apparently, Davion continues to be the backup point guard, but I think there is a clear difference in what Jamal Shead can do with the basketball. I think his decision-making is just so sharp. I think In the third quarter, when this game felt like it was out of reach, he was the one guy who was not playing to the box. He was not playing to the box score. He was not playing to the scoreboard. He was continuing to fight. He was playing to compete, and he was a dog. And I appreciate that. I think you find out a lot about yourself when you're down by 20. I think Scottie Barnes is going to find out a lot about himself today too. I think he was doing a lot of processing on the bench when the camera panned over at him in the fourth quarter and he looked like he had a real blank stare. I think critics of Scottie have often said that he's been protected, that he's had Fred and Pascal and all these guys, here to some extent. There's also some protection against an embarrassment like this when you have an RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley who can just keep the offense going as you go through a tough quarter, right? But when the ball is coming to you and it's not off movement and it's not off a screen and your team is just looking at you and telling you to go be Carmelo Anthony and that's not who you are, you're going to look really bad. You're going to look really bad, especially when you are constantly having to go up against a set defense. When we saw the Raptors blow out, in my opinion, blow out the Boston Celtics and then subsequently lose the lead later and then still eke out the win. But they were blowing them out in the first half, second half in preseason. I know some people would just bat that off as preseason, but it was still basketball and the Celtics were still competing. The difference was the Raptors were playing fast, they were playing with pace, they were playing with energy, and they were defending. And that defense was fueling transition offense and they were actually pushing the pace. I think the Raptors played way too conservative and way too slow, and it plays right into the Cavs' hands. Now, obviously, Kenny Atkinson is no joke. He's not a dumb coach. He's a really good coach, and this is a really good team. When I did my positional rankings, I ranked Donovan Mitchell as the best shooting guard in the NBA. I ranked Evan Mobley as the fourth best power forward in the NBA. I think this is a really good team. If you want my honest opinion, I think they could beat the Knicks in a series. I think it's one team that could actually give Boston a little bit of trouble, maybe lose one or two games. This is a good team. The Cavaliers are a good team. The Cavaliers are the definition of a team that you don't think is good because the media doesn't talk about them enough, but they are really good. Jared Allen is a great center. He's a great center. He is definitively a top 10 center in the NBA. Evan Mobley is awesome. And I'm a huge Mobley fan. As much as I feel like Raptor fans somewhat despise the narrative of Mobley Barnes because of the rookie of the year race, please understand. I loved Evan Mobley at the draft. Thought he was great. The Raptors loved him too. He's a good player, and he may have just leveled up. What we saw today, Evan Mobley running the break, Evan Mobley defending, Evan Mobley looks a little bit stronger. Don't be surprised if you look up in 5 months and this is the number 2 team in the East. At which point, the context of losing to them will feel more obvious. Right now, it feels less obvious. Okay. In terms of the box score, let's take a look at who did what. And, team stats, full team stats. I mean, the Raptors got beat a lot. They got beat across the board on almost everything. The Raptors do manage to get up 86 field goals attempts. I don't know how they did it, but they surrender nearly 60% shooting from the field. That's a gutless defensive performance. They give up 46% from the line while shooting 38.7% themselves. They got to the line somehow miraculously more than the Cavs, although it did not feel like it while watching. They technically out-rebounded them. They got more offensive rebounds, although at least 2 of those were Bruno Fernando rebounding his own misses. They do not crack the 30 assist mark, and I'll be very curious to see how many games the Raptors are able to win this year when they don't crack that 30 assist mark. They lose a battle on steals, blocks, stocks. They turn the ball over 19 times, which is just insane. They give 30 points, which is exactly how much they lost by, off of turnovers, which is the game. Points in the paint. I mean, they got stomped by 30 points. That number 30 just keeps coming up. It's the 30th anniversary. You lost by 30. You lose 30 points conceded off a transition, and you lose the points in the paint margin by 30 points. It's 30, 30, 30. And the Cavaliers' largest lead was 33. So, how fitting. Across the board, man. So I guess we got to have a little bit of 30-30 vision to see what's coming, right? Don't worry. We will end this live on a much more hopeful note than we're starting it out. But as we started out, we must keep it real. We must keep it real. And the reality is the Raptors did not play well, but It's also true that the Raptors should not have expected to win this game. You should not be expecting to win this game. Nobody should have expected to win this game. They lost that second quarter by 19. They lost the third quarter by 6. They lost the fourth quarter by 4. Really, this game was gone in the second quarter. And Darko has to think long and hard about how he wants to work his second unit when he is so depleted. It is one thing when you have a Bruce Brown and a Kelly Olynyk anchoring that unit, buoying that unit with Scottie Barnes. It is another thing when you do that bullshit that you did last year, where you put Scottie out there with Malachi Flynn and Precious Achua and Chris Boucher and Jalen McDaniels and say, go do something. Those lineups suck. And frankly, I don't give a shit what development you think it is. I don't know more about development than Darko Rakovic for sure. But it is demoralizing to play that way. It is absolutely demoralizing to play that way. In terms of the Cavs, they got 25 points from Mobley. They got 21 points from Mitchell. Not at all their best that they could do. I think Mobley played really well. He was a plus 31 while Scottie was a minus 33. That's a swing if I ever saw one. Donovan Mitchell was the engine for the most part. Again, by Donovan Mitchell standards, this is soft work. He took 14 shots, played 28 minutes, 21 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Nothing compared to what this guy could have done to you if he really wanted to. Is off the bench, it was, Karis LeVert, just 19 points off the bench, couldn't miss. George Niang, man, Craig Porter Jr., Sam Merrill, it's tough. It's tough. On the Raptors side, you do get 18 points from Chris Boucher. And I'll tell you what, right now, if you want my recipe for losing a basketball game, please, Lord, let Chris Boucher lead your team in scoring every single night. You will get Cooper Flag in a heartbeat. Okay. I think Chris played commendably well in terms of hitting his shots. And I don't even know where they would be without him hitting the shots that he hit, because this could have been even worse. And you do need offense to sustain you. But man, defensively, as a screener, he was lost. Bruno Fernando was lost defensively. You could see it when Donovan Mitchell came. When Donovan Mitchell senses blood, that's the thing about star players that a lot of people just don't understand. Donovan Mitchell did not have to work 4 quarters tonight, and he's not going to work harder than he has to. When he saw Bruno Fernando guarding him in drop, it was lights out. It was night. Okay? And I got news for you. When you play non-NBA talent against actual NBA talent, you surrender 11-0 runs. That's just how it works. It's how it works. You cannot sustain even 4 minutes on the court with one link that week. You just can't do it. You can't do it. Okay? And for the Raptors, funky lineups, man. Funky. Like everybody played, right? And of the guys who played off the bench, I'm going to tell you, Jamal Shead is the only guy that I was like, absolutely, please, Lord, keep him in the rotation. When everybody comes back, please keep him in the rotation. It's going to have to be Jamal, Ochai, maybe Jacoby, right? Jamal, Ochai, Jacoby, Bruce, Kelly. That's my backups. Those are the players. If anybody else plays, somebody better be in the hospital. Okay? But you do get some Jonathan Mobo first half minutes. I thought he was commendable. Jamison Battle played 16 minutes. And let me tell you something, man. Jamison Battle was the highest in terms of, other than Garrett Temple, who basically played garbage time. Jamison Battle is the only guy who managed to actually sustain his minutes. And he played 16 minutes and he was plus minus 0. And you felt it. You felt it. He had a really smart read, a couple of really smooth passes. He provided some spacing. It's obvious that the scouting report on Jamison Battle is he's a shooter. So it actually opened up some space for people to go. I think Immanuel Quickley was great, man. I really do. I think, there is a potential sneaky sub all-star type of season brimming in him. And I'll be very curious to see what the mood in the locker room is like, because, they mentioned in another broadcast, this might be one of those moments where somebody has to say something. Okay. Somebody has to say, nope, this is not us. We cannot have this happen again. We're going to come out against Philly and we're going to smoke them. Now, I do have some good news and I have some bad news. Bad news is the Raptors broke the record for the largest home opener loss. The previous largest margin of losing in a home opener was in 2021, and it was against the Washington Wizards, and it was by 15. That's the bad news, that you not only broke the mark on your 30th anniversary, you shattered it by doubling that loss margin. The good news is the next game in 2021, a team that did feature Scottie Barnes, you ended up blowing out the Boston Celtics. So maybe something very similar will happen on Friday. I'm actually banking on it with no Joel Embiid. And I mean, if Emmanuel Quickley plays, I mean, a lot of it is going to come down to Emmanuel Quickley's health. But I think it's worth noting that this is not the end of the road for the Raptors. It's an 82 game season. So let's give you. Is there anything else that I really need to be talking about? Yeah. Okay, let's take a look at a little bit of the game here. Give me one sec here. Pull this up. So what I've started doing is I've started to load up some clips on X/Twitter, because it serves as a little bit of a plug to follow us on X/Twitter, but it also serves as a great opportunity. And okay, so here we go here. So hopefully the sound is not on here, but Jonathan Mobo hit a three. That did happen. Very happy for him. And he's been working hard at that. Unfortunately, I threw a bit of a fit on Player's Choice earlier today because Bronny James and all the attention, and I thought that it was a little unwarranted. And there's Jonathan Mobo, the 31st pick, hitting his first three, and we can't be bothered to even talk about it because Alvin Williams and Vince Carter are off on some other thing. And this is a guy hitting his first NBA basket, and y'all are players. Like, come on, man. Like, make big it up. I know he's not like Zachary Ricochet or Reed Shepard or whatever, but I mean, this is a dude who's living out his NBA dream. And this is the first, I mean, that's 23 years of work that led him to this point. And if anybody knows, it's Alvin Williams and Vince Carter. I don't understand, y'all. Like, I love Vince Carter, but man, come on. Like, you're in the building. Look up. Something happened. A guy hit his first three. He's a rookie. Like, I'm sorry. I found that so irritating because Ulrich checked in. And I remember way back when Bruno Caboclo checked in. And I remember like the announcers made a big deal out of it. And nothing today for Ulrich checking in. Nothing really for Jonathan Mobo checking in. So, I mean, this was a beautiful pass by Jamison Battle. Let me know if you guys saw this one, but I really enjoyed this pass. And that gives you a window that he might be a little bit more than just a shooter, right? Not that there's anything wrong with being just a shooter. The Raptors could use just a shooter, given, the fact that you got toasted tonight. And you will notice that that's our account in general. Okay, I mean, okay, we got to take a talk. We got to talk about Jakob Poeltl, man. We got to talk about Jakob Poeltl. Okay, say what you want about what Grady should have done, would have done in this communication. You're the vet. This was not the first, last, or only time that Jakob did this. I could make a literal disaster class of every mistake that Jakob Poeltl made tonight. In fact, I will give you a little hint into some of the passes that he threw, because it is just it's crazy what is happening to Jakob Poeltl right now. And I just do not get it. Take a look. Where are we here? Okay. I mean, what is going on with that? I mean, you could say Emmanuel Quickley didn't throw this perfectly, but bro, you gotta catch that basketball. And it's just like, I mean, I'm not suggesting he played drunk, but like, I don't understand how uncoordinated he's been all preseason to this point. Is like, dude, this is a simple pass. How are we messing this up? You're an NBA vet. How do you throw this far off? Just look at this. Look at this pass. Like, it's a simple pass, right? So many unforced errors. So I think what this team really needs to do is figure out how to, and I mean, this was the first one of the night, and this was just, what are we doing here? So good defense, and then what is that pass? What are we doing, Yak? Again, decent defense, catches the basketball, looks around. The pass to Ochai is right there, but he just throws it 4 feet left. And I don't understand that. He's not leading him into it. And honestly, every pass is the responsibility of the passer. We know this. Anyone who's played basketball knows this because you can see where you're passing. And the person who's receiving is looking at you. So if you see a defender cheating into the passing lane, you don't throw that pass. I mean, do we have to talk about the referees? Help me understand how the hell Evan Mobley saved this basketball. First of all, shout out to Evan Mobley for just getting absolutely deezed because he looks like a friggin' different person right now, and he looks way better. I think Scottie was expecting to go into old Evan Mobley, and he just found this Evan Mobley don't like he's not moving the way old Evan Mobley used to. He's out of bounds, man. And Jamal Shead called it right away. He screamed at the referee, he's out of bounds. Nothing. Speaking of rookies making their first NBA points, here's Jamal Shead on his first points as a pro, and they would not be his last. Jamal Shead wins the night for me. If you want something to look forward to, the Raptors got, at least. I mean, I obviously y'all know how high I am on Jacoby. You know how high I am on Ulrich. And this, if you want to, peg this entire game down to where, like I've talked about 2 points not being 2 points. A turnover is not a turnover, right? Like a turnover is not always a turnover. Some turnovers break your back. Some turnovers, you're just right on the fence of holding on, and you do something like this, and it just breaks your back. Please help me understand how the hell you, as a 6-year pro, you're not a rookie. I would be very upset if a rookie did this. Help me understand this, Bruno Fernando. You are not out of bounds. You never step out of bounds. The referee can see this. Y'all see this? I'm not losing my mind, right? Oh, thank you very much. No, I don't think you would get a strike for using 2 seconds, but thank you for mentioning there's audio because that would be very irritating to listen to. My bad. Okay, so pulling that off. And if you want to know, was it all the Raptors doing Shackton and full stuff? No, it wasn't. It was also Darius Garland doing some Shackton and full stuff. That's Darius Garland with possibly the worst miss I've ever seen a shooter hit in my life. Like that was crazy. Like no defender within 5 feet. You could say Ochai contested late, but this is an easy shot. Like, do you see how far off he is? That's crazy. Lance saying Cade and Jalen Green played well tonight. I'm sure they did. And I'm also sure none of them played basketball with Bruno Fernando. All right. Okay. Overall takeaways. It's a really long season. These two are on your team and they will be fine. I don't know. What do you want me to say? It's not going to be fun. For the next 24 hours, just put your Raptors cap on at home and just sit at home and sit with your feelings. It's not going to be this bad, guys. I'm telling you, there's way too much talent on this team. It's just unfortunate for you guys that a lot of that talent was out tonight, and some of the talent that was there just did not play well. I don't think Scottie played well, right? Noble Venom saying pretty shit day for Scottie fans. Laugh my ass off. All his peers balled out tonight. Oh yes, don't worry. But you know what? This is the thing, right? When Scottie went through, that slight lull in year 2, a lot of people victory lapped over this channel, over a lot of Scottie fans. People were like, "See, told you, Cade was better," and those people shut up real quick the second year 3 started. Right? This is not going to be a bad year for Scottie. I bet he put in way too much work this offseason. This was a bad game, though. This is a bad game. It's a lot of length on the other side. I've seen stars have bad games before. Scottie's a different type of star. He's not Jalen Green. He's not those guys. He's not Michael Jordan. He's not just going to get 20 points on a bad night. His bad nights are going to be like 12 points, 9 points, 14 points. And on those nights, it's going to look really bad. But I don't think, he just needs to play with more force. Played sluggish tonight. You could tell he was pressing a little bit. maybe forcing things a little bit too much, settle for too many jumpers. Need to keep going inside. Even when they're not calling the fouls, you need to keep trying to get the fouls. He does pick up to 5 fouls. That's frustrating as well. So, like, it's just it's an adjustment period. He's gonna be fine. We got 4 super chats already. Thank you so much. Noble Venom, and we'll get to this. We'll get to the callers right here. We're around the 30-minute mark, so we'll definitely get some callers. We got Stevo lined up. If you would like to call, if you'd like to call in, link is in the description. So please feel free to click it. It's really simple. You don't need to download anything. You just click it. If you're on your phone, just have headphones and be in a slightly quiet area so we can't hear interference. But it's super easy. Just click the link and you call in. And if you need a primer of it after, I can show you how to do it. It's super simple. Okay, super chats. Mobley dominated Scottie from start to finish. Yeah, Evan Mobley had a much better game today. Christian Burton saying, with all due respect, Bob, you can't say SB is a top 25 player and not call him out on his abysmal performance as a number 1 option and leader tonight. I think I did a pretty good job of calling him out. I do, however, think that starting out 3 for 14, he didn't play a ton of minutes. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, was it a bad game? Yes. Does it move me off of him being a top 15 player? Come correct. I didn't say he's a top 25 player. I said he's a top 15 player. Does it move me off of that? Hell no. I will still stick to the larger example of what I've seen from him. And on the one hand, you put up a triple double in preseason against the Bucks. You could score 20 points in the fourth quarter against Giannis and Brook Lopez while you're having a struggling season, but you can also have 9 points against the Cleveland Cavaliers. But you know what all those events share in common? They're all 1 games. And that's why we don't care about 1 game sample sizes. We don't care. What I found out tonight is that Scottie Barnes has a lot of growing to do when it comes to boosting his team. And it's going to take some time. There are people, I'm going to just tell you, there are people who have been go-to scorers pretty much their whole life. Okay? Their whole life. They have been go-to scorers. So they understand what to do, what buttons to press. Scottie has not been a go-to scorer his whole life. This is a new role for him, and he has to adjust. Okay? And he's having to adjust in very bad situations. When he had Grady and IQ and Jakob on the floor with him, and even Ochai, it looked okay. But when it was Bruno Fernando and Davion Mitchell, who I've been telling y'all is not like a real NBA rotation player at any level, you cannot, like, I don't know how to explain this to people without losing my mind, but let me just try. Scottie Barnes is a really damn good basketball player for everything he does as an all-around player. You cannot judge Scottie Barnes by 9 points any more than I can judge Rudy Gobert by 2 assists. Okay? 9 points, 12 points, 25 points. Scottie's value is around the entire box score. Did he have a good game tonight? No. But this might end up being his second or worst game of the season when we look back on it a year from now. So stay patient with it. If you want to lose your mind, if you want to be super impulsive, if you want to live and die with every single game, I'm not going to stop you. You can do that. That's perfectly within you. You're perfectly within your right. Grady had the aura and tonight and was awesome. I completely agree. I think Grady was awesome. I love how he's attacking closeouts. I love the fact that he's getting to the paint. I wish he would get more fouls, but that's going to be a work in progress too. KV with a super chat. Thank you very much. Didn't write anything, but I appreciate the love and appreciate the support to all the people who send e-transfers and all that stuff. It really goes a very long way to helping support this channel and to keep us sponsor free. And in an ironic twist, I went on this huge rant on social media yesterday, and I have so much mud on my face today. It's like everything I said yesterday went wrong today. And this has just been a very disappointing day overall. So I made this huge stink about never wanting to take any dime from betting sponsors, never ever being sponsored by betting sponsors. I was like so proud of myself. I'm like, man, I've rejected. I checked through all my emails because I have this folder in my emails for sponsorship offers. And I'm like, I've rejected over $50,000 in betting sponsorships. I'm so proud of myself. Fuck betting, blah, 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 blah. And today I'm on the panel, and who's the sponsor of the panel? And right next to my head, it's a betting sponsor right next to my face. And as I'm talking today, the betting sponsorship cut me off, bro. I was so sad. I was so sad today. I was like, man, I did this huge thing yesterday about I'm never gonna take money from betting, and then I end up being on a show which is sponsored by betting. It was so disappointing. So thank you everyone who makes up the shortfall of what moral integrity looks like, I guess. Recruiter dude, trade the effing prick for a rim pressure scorer. We put too much stock in this team to tank. Your Zig live was dead on. This team needs to be aggressive with its intentions and take a risk. I don't know who the fucking prick is though. Who's the fucking prick? Bruno Fernando? I got bad news for you. He doesn't have any trade value. Jakob Pertl, you don't have any defense. I think Jakob is being over leveraged as a playmaker, though. I will say this. If everything I've seen in preseason is any indication of his actual passing talent, I think Darko is massively over expecting from him. He's not Kelly Olynyk. He is not Kelly Olynyk. Oh my gosh. Bad read on my part. Trade the pick for a rim pressure scorer. I read prick because that's where my head is right now. I was like, fucking prick. Okay. So trade the effing pick for a rim pressure scorer. We put too much stock in this team to tank. Okay. Yeah, look, I think if you lose a game like this, and you remember how I made that live about zigzag that you reference here? Well, if your value of your 2025, 2026 pick, whatever was X, it's better today. It's better after this game. Mohammed saying, "What's wrong with Kelly? Lower back stiffness." Maroon Prince with the support. Scottie is fine. Love it. Okay, first caller, Stevo. How's it going, man? Hello?
Hey, sorry, I just had to turn back on my mic. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Yeah, tonight was a tough night for the Raptors. Personally, I'm only watching on TV, but one thing I well, one thing I noticed was Davion Mitchell
Mm-hmm.
trying to hype himself up. Like we're down 30, and the dude's jumping on the court trying to hype himself up. I think partly that's to do with what he's supposed to do. Shead was already doing, but I like to see that in players, right? Like it was a tough night, but
It is tough. It's tough. And, you know, some people have played competitive sports. Have you played competitive sports?
I used to in my
Would
younger
you
day.
would you play hockey?
Hockey, yeah.
You ever been down 7-0?
Yeah. Yeah. I've been doing something of it nothing as the captain of the team and trying to you
That's
know what
tough.
I mean?
That's tough, right?
It is, right? And
Yeah, I've been, been the starting point guard. I've been a third stringer. I've been, the backup guard. I've gone through a lot of losing and winning in my life. And I tell you the times when you are the starter and you're watching the bench unit out there when you fall into a 25-point hole, especially like high school, whatever, but it's it can be a really gut check moment. And I think you find out a lot about your team when that happens. Like
yes.
if you check out, you see a lot of guys. I think what we need to see, hopefully, what we'll see tonight is that they respond from this. That's going to tell me a lot. If they come out hungover on Friday, I'll pull the plugs on this season real quick, right? Like, because I'm pretty firm on this. If you come out 0-5 to start the season, and very well could happen. The Raptors have Philly, then they have Minnesota, albeit Minnesota did not look great themselves, but no, don't you worry, they'll look great against this Raptor team if they don't get healthy real soon. Dante
Mm-hmm.
DiVincenzo is probably going to bomb off like 45 points, and then they got Denver, and then they got Charlotte. So you could easily go 0-5. So if you go 1-4, 0-5, I think that is the first domino for me in terms of pulling the plug on things. And it sounds very premature and very early. And you say, well, Rob, why so soon? Because the mathematics of it are when you are on the margins of talent, you can't afford getting out to a start like that, right? So
This is
I
what
think
we are.
so I think that, find out early who you are. That's what we said earlier on when we saw the schedule. It was like, okay, either you're going to come out 10-10 in the first 20, and you're going to be like, holy shit, we're a great team. Because you can go 10-10 with the first 20 games that we drew, you're a great team. You are a 46 win team if you can do
Washington Wizards a couple years ago, right?
Sure. Yeah. But but again, given the strength of the schedule and given how many teams will tank later, I think you'll have a clear indication of who these players are. Unfortunately, as you get data, the rest of the league gets data too. And, as you continue to blow, because I mean, right now you're facing the Cavaliers, and I would say they're a tough matchup right now. They will be a tougher matchup in January. If they stay healthy, they will be impossible to beat in January. So, I mean, Scottie's got to play better for sure. Anyone stick out to you tonight other than Davion Mitchell? That was a really great observation, by the way.
Obviously, Shead, that kind of defense, when you're losing, that kind of defense, when you're winning, everybody can play great defense, right?
Yeah.
But when you're losing, that kind of effort and that kind of like, I'm here to play. You know what I mean? Like that hunger. I thought obviously, I think you've been a little hard on Boucher in the past, but like, to be honest with you,
I will continue to be hard on him. We need him. We need him so bad. That's the reason I'm hard on him, man.
Yeah. We need that second we need that second unit to come in and give that second effort. You know what I mean? Like, so somebody gets blocked, there's somebody open for a three. You know what I mean? Like that to me is where Boucher brings his value.
Of course, relentless energy is great. I think it's just when you start to break down the game film on Chris Boucher, you will quickly find that it's a lot of fool's gold. Like
No doubt. Chris Boucher is a player that has to be put in the right positions to be valued, and that's hard. That's hard for coaching.
I think it's hard because he keeps putting himself out of position, defensively, offensively. There's so many times. Yeah. So he makes a lot of mistakes, I think. But look, there's an upside here. Ulrich got his first point. He got 2 points tonight. Jonathan Mobo hit his first three. He had 7 points tonight. Jamal Shead, number 23, my favorite number 23 in Raptors history. I'm going to say that every single time he does something good this season. He had 10 points. He had 4 assists. He was the best player off the bench by far for me. He was great. I mean, so, there's some silver lining there. And everyone I just described, by the way, was a second-round pick. That's 3 second-round picks. Nailed him. Masai and Bobby are back. That's the way I'm choosing to look at this. I'm choosing to look at it as you got 3 guys who can actually be NBA players in the second round of a week draft. I think that's great. There might be 7 or 8 players in that second round who end up being NBA players. The fact that you got 3 of them is very awesome to me.
Yeah. Obviously, we weren't bringing in our, like with RJ being hurt and quickly going down. I was about a half hour behind the game from when I started watching it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was watching it and then I heard Quickley got injured and was ruled out. And I'm like going, Quickley started hot. He did everything RJ Barrett was doing before he got hurt, right? And it's a tough one. It's how's the season gonna go? Like obviously Quickley played after he was hurt, right? Which is nice to see.
Mm-hmm.
But then he got subbed out and was ruled out for the game. So we don't know if
that was a really tough fall for Emmanuel Quickley. And we got shoulder issues, we've got back issues, we've got a lot of issues as a Raptor fan base right now. But I will say, you find out a lot, and there's a chance that by the end of the year, I mean, again, look what happened last year when we started to tank towards the end and it got super ugly. We were seeing a lot of other guys. We were seeing a lot of Jamias Ramsey minutes. We were seeing a lot of DJ Carton. Well, this year it'll be a lot more fun. It'll be a lot more fun. If it goes that way, it's going to be fun. I said it in my season preview. Nothing that can happen this year, nothing short of a career-ending injury to one of our core players, is getting me off my optimistic horse. I am very happy about this team. I'm glad that they tore it down when they did. I am perfectly content with the roster and the salaries going forward. I have a lot of faith in these young kids to get a lot better. I have faith in this coaching staff, even though they didn't look like they knew what the fuck they were doing tonight. I think they're going to be fine long term. This is going to be fine. Anyways, any closing thoughts, Stevo?
Not really. I think you touched on a bunch of my points. Like, as far as I just want to see these guys play. Like, you know what I mean? Like, as far as obviously we're not our starters aren't playing. Like Quickley and RJ, it hurts. It hurts, right? It hurts. It hurts Scottie. One thing with Scottie, I'd like to see him more own up to his mistakes. Like, obviously, Scottie Barnes is a 23-year-old kid, right? And
I don't think we get to call a 23-year-old a kid anymore. You know, he's already he's really wise beyond his years. He's been in the limelight. He's not Pascal Siakam. He didn't just fall into this, 2 years ago. He's been a top 5 recruit guaranteed since he was 15 years old. That's 8 years. He's a man. And we need to
he's a
address
man
him
child.
as a man. No, he's a man. He's not a man child, he's a man.
Yeah.
So we gotta call it what it is. And and what it is not a good game. It's not enough. You need to be better, and you're going to answer for it. And knowing him, he will bounce back from this. This is a guy who plays. He's a winner. He's a prideful person. He's going to see 9 points. He's going to see the chirping online, and I'm sure that he's going to come out with a lot more energy in the following games. Anyways, man, thanks a lot.
All right, can I just say my final thoughts, please?
Yes.
All right.
Go ahead.
Okay. Honestly, I respect you so much, Rob. As far as the not being sponsored by betting stuff, that to me is more like I've seen so much growth with you personally, and that's a compliment. As far as like being on the panel and listening to other people's views and stuff like that, that to me is, I think with Scottie, if I was betting, I think Scottie's going to come out and hit a 20-point triple-double next game. If I was betting. Like that to me is Scottie.
That was such a funny, weird roundabout way of telling people to bet on Scottie Barnes triple-double next day. He might do it, but somebody's asked me, what's Scottie's opening line prediction? And the minute I found out that someone last year used my prediction for Scottie to bet on his parlay, I was done with it. So anyways, I just want to stay away from conversations about betting. I want to stay away from talks about betting. If I do place a bet this season, I'm not talking about it. I just don't want to talk about it, man. All right. Thanks a lot, Steve. I appreciate it. Appreciate the compliments. Thanks. Hello, Vince. What's going on?
Yes, guy. What's going on, brother?
Not too much. Do you mind hanging on for 4 minutes while we listen to Scottie Barnes postgame?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. I'll pull you back.
You guys would need to do differently to make that game a little closer.
No, we just got to play a little bit better defense on our weak side, guarding the ball, and then offense got a little bit stagnant. So we just got to tighten up some things, and we had a real bad second quarter.
This fit ain't it for me personally, but I mean, I'm not a kid. These guys, their pants don't touch their shoes, and I feel like the second I comment about it, people are going to be like, you were born in the 80s, weren't you? Yep, I was.
Turnovers, not getting back on defense, and they were just getting dunks, and they made some shots, but we got to make it tough on them. So we got to do a better job all around.
I mean, did you feel like you guys kind of lost focus a little bit as that second quarter got away from you?
Not lost focus. They made adjustments in the game, and out there on the floor, we were just, things wasn't going the right way. We just got to be more organized and not turn the ball over, get some better offense.
How, in that span, how problematic or was their zone defense, which seemed to be giving everybody some trouble?
It gave us we could have got good looks out of it. We missed some open threes, but also we got some switches. I just got to be ready to exploit those switches more, be more aggressive on the ball. they got some stops, and then on the other end, we just got to get some stops as well. So that's what the game is. They made some adjustments. And
I just want to point out that we made a big stink about how Fred VanVleet would never do post games after losses, and how it was somewhat embarrassing that the team's leaders would never come out after an embarrassing loss, or especially when they played bad. Not only is he coming out and doing the post game, by the way, just so you all are aware, and like people who don't know how this works, this is not something that a player has to do. Like, they don't have to do it. They don't have to do this. There's nothing in Scottie's contract that says he has to come out and answer for this loss. The fact that he is doing so, to me, is massive growth, because he did not play well. His team did not play well. You got smoked out at home on a very big night. And I do think that it shows accountability. And if I wasn't positive that he was going to have a big game next game, I'm positive now. He's going to be fine.
we didn't. We found the right things, but we just wasn't scoring off of it. So that's what it was.
Scottie, it seems like you guys have been pretty snake bitten with injuries early. I mean, obviously going into it and then going into tonight and then IQ, the hard fall this evening. You can't control these things, obviously, but how do you make sure that you guys don't get down on yourself just because?
Oh, we're not gonna get down on ourselves. We practiced really hard, worked really hard this summer to, and try to get ready for these moments. And we're a really connected group. This is a super connected group, and we're gonna keep our heads high. It's one game, first game. Things happen. We make some shots. They made shots, and we know what we got to fix, tighten up, watch film, get back to it tomorrow, and get better from this.
Scottie, just to the back. What did you think of Chris Boucher's performance tonight coming off the bench?
Chris Boucher, we all know Chris Boucher. He's always going to come off the bench, give energy, play hard, try to block shots, make shots. He's a great shooter out there on the floor. Run the ball, run in transition, try to get dunks. Chris Boucher is always going to be Chris Boucher. He's always going to be that energy guy off the bench.
Say there's an attitude that last season he had pretty limited play time. Tonight he was the first guy off the bench and really contributed scoring-wise. What's it say about him that he's sort of stuck with it to have what looks like might be a bounce-back season?
I always talk to Chris Boucher all the time. Just no matter what, he's going to keep his head up, and he's going to go out there and play as hard as he can on the floor. And that's what he does. He changes games. So when he gets in the game, he's going to change the game in some way, some impact, and he's going to give it his all.
There's always a certain anticipation on opening, and here, 30th anniversary, and some of the players from way back when are back here in the building, and there's an excitement to that. Is it hard when all of these things are on one side and you guys got kicked pretty good?
Nah, it's not hard. Just got to ass whipping today. We just got to bounce back from this, get better from it, learn. They were the better team tonight. They made adjustments. We couldn't really count off of it, but we'll be solid. We got another game on Friday. Worry about that. Focus on that.
They're gonna be fine. Also, Jad, to be a superstar, he needs to get a go-to isolation move. He had no answer against a taller, mobile defender in Mobley. I got news for you. With Jared Allen back there aren't a lot of wings who can actually do something with Evan Mobley. There just aren't a lot. If you're talking about them, they're top 10. Okay? And again, this is not that serious. It's an 82-game season. You lost a game that you were supposed to lose. Everyone said you were going to lose this game. I said we were going to lose this game. Nobody should have expected to win this game. They should have expected to win this game. I'd be troubled if they did not expect to win this game. Let's hear from Darko Postgame, and then we're going to get to Vince, and then Vince and I can have a lively conversation, which will inevitably, become a should the Raptors tank or should the Raptors not tank? Because I'm sure.
I thought that the first quarter we came out, we were focused. We did a good job on both ends of the floor. They made a couple of tough shots in that first quarter. And then the second quarter, our offense was that created a lot of struggle. We turned the ball over quite a bit, and that allowed them to run in transition. Also in the second quarter, we really struggled to finish around the rim. Their bigs did a good job of protecting the rim, blocking shots, which allowed them obviously to get out and run.
They seem to get a lot of baskets at the rim as well. Were you worried about the rim protection all night? They didn't get much of it.
We did not get rim protection, but I think it was starting on the ball. I thought that tonight we were getting hit on screens quite a bit. We did not do a good job of avoiding screens and staying in front of the man. And that's, when you go downhill, a guard's going downhill and creating 2 versus 1 opportunities. For years, I've been seeing Cleveland really doing a good job of finding their lob threats in Allen and Mobley.
In terms of the rim protection, what's the answer when Yak goes to the bench, especially while Kelly's out? Is it as simple as sort of tightening up on the perimeter and preventing some of those blow-bys, or is there somebody or somebodies, I guess, that need to step up in terms of the rim protection?
I mean, we talked about it that any good defense starts with on ball. Like the better we do a job of communication, guarding the ball, staying in front of the ball, that's gonna take some of that problems at the rim. But we gotta continue working on that. We gotta continue addressing that. I think a video session is gonna be a really good one tomorrow. I think guys had a lot of emotions going into this game, but all of that is behind us, and we can really focus on our growth and development going from here.
The Scottie plus the bench lineup in the first and second quarters, they threw a lot of zone at you guys. What did you see in terms of the offense and how it didn't work?
I think a couple of first shots that we missed. I thought that there were a couple of opportunities that we could do a better job of taking shots. We were driving inside, and they kept their length at the rim that deterred us from finishing at the rim. In second half, we talked about it, what adjustments we need to make, how we need to space the floor better. So they did not run it as much in the second half, but I think it was better in the second half.
Quickley status?
He fall down quite a bit, and he's sore right now. So we want to be very precautious with it, and obviously we're going to do all the testing tonight and tomorrow and see where he's at.
Since Media Day, we've been talking a lot about identity. You can keep your identity in a win or in a loss. Did it feel like you guys kept your identities on both ends tonight?
There were moments that we had it, and I think everybody could feel that. There were moments that it was not there. We had a lot of guys tonight that played, for the first time, official NBA game. And what we need to understand and learn is that it takes 48 minutes, that it cannot be sporadically 2-3 minutes here and there. We got to learn what it takes to win at this level, and that's for offense and defense. When we did good job offensively of moving and cutting, we were creating good opportunities. I'm not saying making shots necessarily, but we created good opportunities and good looks. And the same thing when we had good ball pressure, when we had good communication, when we executed the game plan on defensive end, we forced them into tough shots. So to answer your question, for the moments it was there, but for a big part of the game, it was still there in the search.
Did you make it your rookies? Jamal had a long one, a little bit less, so a couple of the other guys less than that.
I mean, Jamal, every time he touches the floor, he plays so hard, and the way he competes, he was able to get a couple of deflections and steals that allowed us also to get out and run a little bit. Jonathan Modbo, he did a good job of figuring out in the second half with those minutes. His minutes in the first half were very limited, but I like what I saw there with energy that he brought and length that he presents on defensive end, especially. And Ulrich, any minute that he can get on the floor now, it's so valuable. I wish that he gets in the more close games, but today as well, I think he used those minutes well. And James.
I feel like Darko is laying out the tank strategy later when we're going to be in a 99-98 nail biter in the fourth quarter in the 67th game of the season, desperate to lose that game for tank seeding, and Urish Shamshe is going to check in. That's going to be hilarious.
And Bell as well. He stepped on the floor today. His shooting is real. He's creating gravity towards him. But there is a lot of process. It's the start of the long journey. So I think that they had a very valuable experience today.
A year ago, Chris wasn't in the opening night rotation. Today, he was the first player off the bench, leading scorer. You've talked about what a productive summer he had. Does this sort of speak to that?
I think so. I think that there is more layers to it, that he needs to continue improving and growing. I think that Chris is very focused. I think that he's really committed to this team and his teammates, and that's allowing him to go out there and be productive.
This is a big night, obviously. 30th anniversary, some of the old players back, crowds pumped up, everything. How disappointing is it to give that kind of performance on a night that seemed to have everything else going for it?
It's game one of the opening night of the regular season. Definitely, we want to compete and win and try to do it every single night. But at the same time, we gotta be patient with our young team and really give those guys chance and opportunity to learn and bounce back. I know that they are disappointed in the locker room, and I know that this group is hungry to come back tomorrow and learn and improve.
Scottie didn't seem like he had his best night, wasn't super comfortable. What was the difference between what you saw from him tonight versus the last couple of games of the preseason where he looked really sharp?
I mean, it's one night, it's one game. We all believe in Scottie. We know what kind of player he is and how he can contribute to the team. He will be just fine.
Thank you.
Thanks, Darko.
Thank you, guys. Thanks so much.
Okay. How you doing, Vince? Thanks for waiting.
Easy does it. Easy does it, chat. Take it easy.
You mean overreacting to game one is not is not a recipe for mental stability, no?
Like, take it the F easy. It's fine. Tonight was fine. Like, anyone who's like going off about Scottie and whatever, swap Scottie Barnes for Evan Mobley. Put Scottie on their team, put Mobley on our team. How does that game pan out? You think Mobley's a superstar and Scottie is trash? Scottie,
Of course not.
He would have had Jared Allen behind him, Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, and fucking Kobe Bryant. I mean, Karis LeVert, right? You know, it's like, it's fine. It doesn't matter. Scottie's going to be fine. With Quickley in the game, the only other like NBA player, very like good NBA player, Pirtle, we can talk about later. But you know, he was in there for what, 10 minutes? What did he play? 14 minutes in the game.
Yeah, like 13
and the 14
points.
minutes he was there, he was a -2. So
yeah, you were in the game when Quickley and Barnes were on the court together. You were positive. That's right. 2. You're still missing RJ in that, right?
Totally.
And again, the Raptors,
exactly.
Like, in order to achieve 37 to 38 wins, the Raptors have to be healthy. Like, when I did my season preview, I said I comfortably put 8 teams above this team. It is important to note, however, because you have been a very big proponent of the tanking, that 2, 3, hold on, let's take a look here. One sec. There are a few teams that won tonight that maybe are interesting in terms of tanking implications. It's never too early to talking about tank. So the Atlanta Hawks won tonight. The Chicago Bulls won tonight. The Charlotte Hornets won tonight. Those are literally the 3 teams that are in the grouping with the Raptors. So you just got a +1 separation from the 3 teams. You're not going to catch the Washingtons and the Brooklyns. You're not.
No, that's it.
Detroit was competitive tonight.
Detroit, they took it down to the wire. Utah is currently in a 3-point game against Memphis, right? Who else? I think not a lot of people are talking about Miami. I think they're going to be bad. I even had Charlotte ahead of Miami this year.
I mean, I'm never going to hear the end of it. The amount of times I have mentioned that Scottie Barnes is way better than Paolo, and Paolo comes out with 33 points on a nice, efficient game. Oh, Lord.
Yeah. Oh, shit. DeJounte Murray may have fractured his hand. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I saw that.
Yeah, so, sorry, Chicago won?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, 81-80.
81-80? Are you kidding me right now?
I am not kidding. It's real. It happened. So to take a look at the scoreboard, I'll just share my screen here for a second here.
This is not real. This is not right.
What's not right?
I feel like this game is not right. That's not right. 81-80. That's a wrong score. 33, 56, 66.
Check another website.
72, 82. No.
It could be wrong.
It is wrong. It's wrong on ESPN. That didn't happen.
Did the Bulls
New Orleans
win?
won. No.
Oh
New Orleans
no.
won. Yeah.
And
And one unfortunate byproduct of watching that game, or not watching that game, but seeing that game, is your boy Yves Missy looks good. He played more than Daniel Tice tonight. And
I know Yves Missy is good.
Yeah, he's looking good. And maybe taking him over Walter might have been
I like
maybe
Jacoby
taking him over Walter.
I like Jacoby Walter now, okay?
Yeah, I just saying for the construction of this particular team, right? Like, knowing that you have Grady at the 2, you got a couple of guards.
If it would have gotten, first of all, long term, I think Ulrich is going to be just fine. Okay, and Jonathan Mobo will be just fine. However, Yves Missy is like a freaking legendary athlete. Like, I loved his movement patterns at Baylor, and it's ironic because we took his teammate. I'm gonna be fine with Jonathan and Jacoby. I think our rookie class is gonna be fine, man. But yes, it would have been great. It would have been great to get an extra first-round pick to get Yves Missy.
I didn't watch him play, but his line in 23 minutes: 12 points, 7 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 3 blocks. It's pretty efficient for 23 minutes. Now, again, they're playing the Bulls.
So yeah, I may look stupid about all my Scottie takes, but I look pretty smart about my Yves Missy take. That's great. It's a little redeeming quality. I still know what I'm talking about when it comes to basketball. It's cool.
Honestly, man, like it doesn't matter. You got to think big picture. So I was at the game tonight.
Okay.
I actually sat not courtside, but like my buddy who's a former grad of my high school sings the anthems. So he actually
Was
let
he the guy
us
who
sit.
did this? He did the anthem tonight.
Yeah, Doug Tranquata.
Oh God. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, you not like him?
It's not that I didn't like it. It was very, like, to me. Okay, so again, as someone who's listened to the American National Anthem my whole life as a child, like, that was not my favorite rendition of the American National Anthem.
Well, I mean, he's more of an operatic type guy. Like that's his vibe, his jam. He's not an R&B guy. He's not a pop croon guy.
So what are we doing? What are we doing with operatic at a basketball game? First of all, I hated the Raptors intro. Absolutely hated it. Was it hype in person?
I mean, there was a vibe in the air. Now, I gotta place the caveat that I had my 3-year-old son with me, so I was attending to him first, and then watching the game and noticing what was going on second.
Okay.
Right? Because he was.
But did you notice that the intro was trash? Because I have never been so unhyped for an opening announcement intro. Like, first of all, Scottie Barnes has never been the last player announced. He's my favorite player. So I was really looking forward to a day where that would happen. And this shit was not it. Like, you expect the lights to go out, you expect the works to come out, you expect like some sort of like graphic of Vince Carter dunking on everybody, you expect some loud music, and it was just like, what the hell is this? It was like it's nothing. It was nothing. It was gross. It felt gross. Like, watching it on TV, it was nuts.
Like, a lot of what happens at the Raptor games is, I believe, influence, especially pre-game, is influenced by the fact that a lot of people are late, and then the people who are there, sometimes they're like corporate types, that just they're not there for basketball.
Yeah, I know the type. I don't like those people.
Yeah, it's like, well, you don't like them as basketball fans. They might be fine.
I don't like them as people.
Okay.
I don't like them as human beings. Like, I would deport them all. If you go to a basketball game with this low ass energy, I would deport you.
Listen,
I would deport you to some passionless city, like shit. What's a passionless city? Orlando is a passionless city. I've already pissed off enough Magic fans. You need to go to Orlando. Okay.
Right.
Like we need some vibe here. Like I was just so like I was so let down by the intro. I felt like you could have made it huge, and it wasn't that. You know, there was no oomph to it. Like I remember the old Bulls intros.
Yes.
Oh my God. Like every time you heard that music, it was like it was chills, you know? And you saw those Bulls running down. Like there used to be like hype Knicks, you know, I remember the old Philly intros. There's a couple Raptor intros that got me hyped too. But overall, I gotta say, whatever the hell they did this game, don't do it again. Please, Lord. If somebody from Raptors marketing ends up coming across this video or clips it, please change that intro. It is disgusting. Yeah.
That the Bulls intro theme song, that Alan Parsons song, is iconic.
It is the best.
You will, and they won right there just choosing that song. And I feel like that's what the Raps need. They need an iconic intro song, right? So I don't know. I think the game ops could definitely use some work.
What is an
iconic?
What is an iconic? You know what it is. I don't want to play it because I'll play 2 seconds of it because I don't want to get a copyright strike.
Sure.
Okay. Do you remember Cardinal Offshal?
Yeah.
Are you a fan? Okay, cool.
Yeah. What actually? What's his name? Chocolare. He rapped tonight at halftime, or maybe it was in between. In between quarters 1 and 2. Yeah. Or it was at the half. Sorry. Yeah. There was a lot going on. My kid was wanting popcorn and stuff.
Would this be a good intro?
That's exactly what he sang that song tonight.
Am I on touch or what?
Dude, you're in the northern touch. That's what honestly that's an iconic intro. I remember that from like my childhood, adolescenthood, whatever it was. I was a early teenager when that came out. Right? So and that is like we notorious. Ain't nobody can hang with us.
We are way too white for this, Vince. We are too white for this.
Whatever. I can be white and appreciate it still.
No, I'm saying we're too white to recite it. Is what
I see.
No. Chat, let us know if we are too white to recite this shit.
Speak for yourself.
But it's a great song.
I'm Italian, not white.
Okay, I'm Serbian, but not white. Okay.
But anyway, like getting back to the game, just like you know what I saw that was of any consequence. I saw Grady doing good things, right? Yeah. Getting into the teeth of the defense. If he didn't have the shot, he drove it. And he made something nice happen, right? Mm-hmm. You put that on the court with like Quickley and RJ, Scottie, and then maybe a better center than Yak, or for the time being Yak, and you know you add 1 or 2 more players of consequence, either by trade or by draft or whatever. You know you've got the makings of something good for sure. And the result of today's game is inconsequential to where this team is going, right? So anybody that like freaks out, like, you know, Houston lost to Charlotte tonight. You think Houston's gonna fucking burn down the building? Oh my God, we're supposed to be good. You know, they're gonna get their shit together.
It's important to realize one game is one game. You are severely undermanned. I did not like the effort across the board overall. I feel like they got a little discombobulated and a little demoralized. And honestly, they started looking at the refs a lot. And they should have been looking at the refs. The whistle was awful tonight. It was absolutely one-sided. It was very tilted. And it's frustrating. And I think for Scottie, you know, someone asked me the other day, do I think that Scottie Barnes can take another growth spurt? And I mentioned, I think he has 3 left, right? After this game. Yeah. I think he has 3. And those growth spurts are going to come in spurt. Like, sorry, what is this noise that you're making?
Oh, sorry. I was just...
It's extremely irritating.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So what I'm saying is, what is that? Is that a musical instrument?
No. It's a shake. I'm gonna consume in just a little bit, and there's a thing in there. I can't believe you picked that up. That's crazy.
Oh, I absolutely picked that up.
Yeah, sorry about that.
And so did close to 2,000, 5,000 people are gonna watch this after. We all know about your shake now, and you better. And I'll pray for your children that you do not become a GIF after this. Okay, this dude with this shake. Okay, honestly, in all fairness, obviously, I don't care about the result of a particular game. I do care about the process of offense. Okay, I do care about that. And when people say, like, you know, what are these growth spurs for Scottie? I think the next growth is going to come where he can just have an average game when he has a bad game, if that makes sense.
Right.
Where, you know, because Scottie's had some games where it's like 2 points, 36 minutes, and you're just like, what? How do you have 2 points in 36 minutes?
Right.
And he has those games. He has like 6 or 8 of them every single year. He didn't have very many of them last year. He was putting together some very, very consecutive performances. I think he was like on a 20-point streak for a while, where people were like, all right, look at how Scottie started last season. You know, it was like, I think it was averaging like 23 points per game for like the first 7-8 games. This game was definitely not it for Scottie.
Right.
But I think it looks so much worse because the numbers look so bad, right? It's a triple single. It's like what I said, Ben Simmons. Actually, today I was on the panel and I said, what, Ben Simmons is going to come out and score 9 points, 6 rebounds. I like literally set out Scottie's entire line.
Right.
That's what I said Ben Simmons was going to do, and that's exactly what Scottie Barnes did. And so I am going to never hear the end of this tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like I almost like want to call in sick. Okay.
Because it's funny. I think Ben Simmons put up a very similar line tonight to what you just said.
Oh Lord. Did I call it? Did Ben put up 9 points?
Where is the Brooklyn game here? Brooklyn, Atlanta. Ben Simmons. Oh shit, I'm on the wrong page here.
Don't tell me he put up 10 points. Now I'm really never going to hear the end of it.
Where the fuck is Brooklyn, Atlanta? Here it is. Ben Simmons line.
Oh shit. Ben had 6 points.
6 points, 5
rebounds.
rebounds, 8 assists.
All right.
Block.
So great. Scottie Barnes really living up to that pre-draft comp tonight. And Cam Thomas, you know, with 36 points on, you know, 14 for 27. I mean, that's reasonably efficient. He kept him in the game. You know what I mean?
Efficient for him for sure.
So that's the next step for Scottie, in my opinion. Like that ability to just sustain even performances in offense. Then the step after that will be, how do you create something out of nothing because your team needs it? We've seen spurts of it. We've seen fourth quarter domination, whatever, but not on command. It's always situational. It's always, you know, when the defense is pressing up or when he has a favorable matchup or the defense starts to quit or whatever. So when is it when you can impose your will in the game? And then we will see the final jump when he can impose his will on a series.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like a playoff series. So that, and then, you know, like from there, you go win championships, don't go win championships. It's up to you. But I think that, you know, this will be a very interesting growth season for him. I understand that a lot of people expect him to come out and average 25 points every single night, but that's not how people who average 25 points get their 25 points. And it was just, you know, it's going to be a lot easier to score when you get RJ, Emmanuel Quickley.
I mean, that's the thing, dude. Like, so with Quickley in the game, they were around even, right? I think they were up, you know, either even or down by.
You are muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. While you were muted, Sean S with the golden super chat. Rogers is cutting corners on the intro because I buy super chats instead of paying my cell bill. My bad. Thanks a lot for supporting us instead of supporting Rogers. I appreciate it, Sean, as always.
No, but as I was saying, so like with Quickley in the game, things were about even, right? And then you take Quickley out of the game, he's the only other threat. You know what I mean? Like you can't, like, Grady is still in his second year. They know, let's hug up on him, make him a driver, right? Ochai, God bless him in the preseason, he ain't it, right? Pirtle, a middling center without any sort of creation, self-creation, no shot, and like he's a decent passer.
Right.
Everybody else that Scottie was playing with, Boucher, Fernando, Battle, Mogbo, Temple, Davion Mitchell, or sorry, I should have said Davion Mitchell, Jamal Shead, Boucher, and Fernando. Those were the guys. What are you expecting from Scottie and that team?
No, for sure.
There's nothing you can expect. Like he did his best. Even if Scottie had a very good game, let's say he put up 28.
Mathematically, you would still lose. You would still lose.
We would have still lost this game. They put up 136.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's a fucking machine on the other side. And Darius Garland had a shit game. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely. I just want to give a quick shout out to the chat. Please like this video for Vince and like it for Coach Mo, who has just entered the room. And please don't be don't be lazy. Okay. Like, we got 411 people in here. We've had over 1,000 people check in. We only got 116 likes. That is blasphemous. I know you can just click that little like button. It goes a really long way to helping us out. Coach Mo, how you doing?
Been better, amped up for the season opener, We kind of blame you, Rob. You built us up, dog. You built us up.
Sorry.
You led us astray. Vince was right. Vince was right.
No, he's not. Vince is wrong.
About
Vince,
what? What am I right or wrong about?
You said this is a team that has to tank.
Oh, I mean that's still happening. Come on, guys.
So the injury situation is it's. I mean, right now it's being decided for us with all the injuries. But one thing about Scottie and his growth, I mean, besides skill development, he really needs to stop living and dying off calls and non-calls. He's just way too reactive. The face he makes, the body language. I remember there was a play in the second quarter. He tried to draw a foul, and maybe it was a foul, but again, it was a foul baity type of move. And I'm never a fan of any of that. So when the refs don't call it, even on my team with my favorite player, good job, refs. I'm sick and tired of foul baiting. He's staring at the refs. You saw, and then it went out of bounds, and Mitchell inbounded it and threw it all the way to the other side, and they got a layup. Remember, and that was basically when the trains got off the track. So if we're talking about being a leader, he needs to take a page from the Kawhi Leonard book, where he doesn't say anything, but nothing rattles him. Right? Nothing rattles him, and that's leading by example. You got to just get back. And I think he needs to cut out the foul baiting. I think he needs to take a page out of
I don't
Kawhi's
think he foul baits very much. I mean,
but I'm saying
opinion, I don't think he does.
There were two plays where he tries to bring the ball low through the defender, right? And he's like, he touched me, and the ball went out of bounds. Like, you got to be stronger than that. You know what I mean?
I mean, overall, I like his composure. I like the fact that he was composed in the post game. I know some people don't care about that, but I do. I do care that your star player doesn't come out with bad body language. He didn't come out with his chest sunken in. He didn't come out all angry. He didn't come out blaming his teammates. He didn't come out and set the whole room on fire. He didn't come out and overreact. He didn't say, "This is embarrassing. I'm so freaking pissed. This can't happen again." He didn't do that. Okay. He did not do that. And I appreciate that about him. And I think that reiterating the fact, look, I'm going to tell you right now, if Jared Allen, Donovan Mitchell, and Darius Garland sat this game out, Evan Mobley ain't carrying the Cleveland Cavaliers against the healthy Raptors.
1,000%. 1,000%.
So that's the point. You just don't have talent. You gave, if we before the game made one trade, like sometimes you trade players. We're gonna trade Ochai Agbaji for Davion Mitchell. This entire game flips because Donovan Mitchell. Yeah. If you trade Donovan Mitchell for Ochai Agbaji, this game entirely changes. That's not shade on Ochai.
We win by 30.
That's it. So that's the point. Like, you cannot win in the NBA without significant amount of talent to offset defensive coverages. If you make your offense so predictable that it's going to be Scottie, and especially you double down and you actually exacerbate the issue. Your issue is you have a lack of talent right now, which is an issue like exacerbated further by the injuries, exacerbated further by your energy level and your lack of commitment to the play style and your execution and the turnovers. So basically, like, what I'm trying to say is, for the Raptors to have beat the Cleveland Cavaliers, two things must have happened. Three things had to have happened. Number one, you must be healthy. You're not ever going to beat this team when you're not healthy and they're healthy. Number two, you must execute extremely well, which we did not. So you're 0 for 2 already. And the third thing is you must prey on shot variance, which means they're going to have to miss a whole bunch of threes that they would usually make, and you're going to have to make a few that you would usually miss. And that's the only way you're going to beat a team that's better than you, especially when they are healthier. Nobody should have expected to win tonight. I don't know where anyone got that idea from, but this is a long season. The Cavs, in my opinion, are a top 10 team in the league. They are fully healthy, and they're gelling. And unlike a lot of other really good teams, this is the same team from last year. This is not a new team like the Minnesota Timberwolves or the New York Knicks that are trying to integrate a new team, a new player, whatever. This is a team that went into the playoffs, made a deep run with the second, in the second round, ran into the Celtics, lost to the eventual champions. I think they did a pretty good job against the Celtics personally, and they're healthy. And Evan Mobley has come out way better. I mean, lost in all of this, Scottie didn't have a good game, blah, 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 is Evan Mobley. I've been talking about it on the panel. Y'all better watch this kid, because I've been following him all summer, been following him on socials, seeing all the progress. He looks fundamentally different. He looks really good. And if he has taken that step to legit star, like perennial all-star for the next 15 years type of star, the Cleveland Cavaliers level up completely, because now it's Donovan Mitchell plus Evan Mobley taking, jump shots, hitting jump shots, being able to bang in the paint, being able to, hold his position a little bit better because he's been a little bit slight of frame. And it's interesting, last year everyone was writing Evan Mobley off because he had a down year in his year 3. And people were like, oh, Evan Mobley's not great anymore. No, man.
I want to talk about, so we have all the injuries. It is what it is. But my God, Darko playing a group of players together is just like you're guaranteeing losses with these lineups. Like, it's multiple players.
That's the beautiful way to lose, Coach Mo. That's the beautiful way to lose. If you're going to lose this way,
But
guys,
Bruno Fernando? Like, who's Bruno Fernando? He's never. I understand bleeding lineups with Grady. I understand that bleeding lineups with Mogbo. Okay, Jacoby Walter, guys who you think are going to be a part of the future or the near future. Why am I bleeding lineups with Bruno Fernando? Like, who's he? He's not going to be here next week.
Last year, the San Antonio Spurs, Greg Popovich, quite possibly the best coach in NBA history, played for an extensive stretch of the season Jeremy Sohan at the point guard.
Yes, right? He did. Yes, he did.
Because they don't give a fuck. They're saying, let me throw some shit on the wall and see what sticks, if any, right? They're trying to lose, right? And they're doing it in a tactful way. The Raps are going to be the same this year, right?
But I don't think they're trying to lose, Vince. I don't think so. So look, let me give you an example.
They didn't expect all the injuries. Like, they didn't plan to be down this many people.
Pick a team. Pick a team in the NBA not named the Raptors. Just pick one.
What's that?
Pick a team in the NBA not named the Raptors.
Phoenix Suns.
Perfect. Okay, so the Phoenix Suns. We have Ryan Dunn. He's a rookie, right? We have Yusuf Nurkic. He has weaknesses and strengths as well. We have Bradley Beal, who is a competitive vet. We have Grayson Allen, who's showed some potential as a pick and roll ball handler. We have Kevin Durant, who, despite all of his greatness, does have certain limitations as well as he's aging now. So if I'm running the Phoenix Suns, obviously I don't have enough young players for me to focus on development. It just doesn't make sense. I don't have a Jeremy Sohan on my roster, period. There's no one that raw. So in that situation, doing this wouldn't make sense. But let's say you have a Charlotte Hornets team, or actually a team that I'm even more familiar with, the Houston Rockets. I feel that Jalen Green has decision-making issues. I think he's a decent scorer at times. I think he's a good high-volume scorer. I think he has serious issues as a point-of-attack defender. I think he's a terrible system defender. And I think he is not a great passer or a decision-maker. So if and Amen Thompson is a really good decision-maker, but a terrible shooter, right? So here's what I'm going to do. If I want to win basketball games, I'm going to force both players to play a role that actually suits their strengths, which means I'm going to put Amen on the ball, downhill, set picks, dunker spot. And with Jalen Green, I'm going to make him catch, shoot, read and react type of guy, like one dribble, go to the basket or shoot or just make the simple read. But if I want to force development of these two young players, I'm going to put Jalen Green at point guard, force him to run offense, and I'm going to put a man in the corner and have him come off a screen every now and again and take movement threes. And I'm going to lose so many basketball games.
And they did last year, and they did exactly that last year, full well knowing that they weren't going anywhere, right? It resulted in Reed Shepherd this year, right? And guess what?
That wasn't their pick, though. That wasn't their pick. And guess
what they're doing this year? Jalen Green is playing off ball, and Amen Thompson is running more point and still doing the dunker spot stuff because he's just a malleable player. But Jalen Green is a primarily off-ball player, and they're playing through Şengün, which is the right thing to do. That's the call.
He's a great decision maker. Yeah. I don't know, man. That's every single year. We do have Moobs who's trying to get into the studio, but Moobs, you have to connect either your webcam or your mic. I can't put you in the studio without it.
Actually, boys, so I actually have to take off now, so we got to cut it short. I'm here for a good time, not a long time tonight, but we'll chop it up again very shortly in the future.
Enjoy your protein shake, Vince.
You know it, bro. Well, can you see what this is?
No, what is it?
This is my weed vape. That's what I'm going to be enjoying first.
Promoting drugs on our show. we keep it clean, man. No, it's all good.
No,
it's all cool.
Drugs are
it's all legal.
It's that's legal now. No gambling. Drugs are cool.
No gambling. Drugs are fine.
No, fuck the gambling sites. Too much, man. I agree with you 100%. Good on you for putting your foot down with that shit, man. It's insane.
Yeah.
You know the best part is when you reject them, they offer more money because they think that's the issue. They're like, oh, $2,000 a month's not enough for you. Here's $4,000 a month.
Sure.
Maybe at this point, I just keep going and I drive them to $10,000 a month, and then y'all just put up with me being sponsored by a gambling site. I'm just kidding. I would never do it. Honestly, I would not be able to sleep at night if I pushed gambling down people's throats. That would just not be cool.
Bro, you're crowdfunded. You are the Bernie Sanders of
Bernie lost.
Yeah.
Bernie lost, in fairness, and he lost in spectacular fashion. Wow. But he made an impact, and I appreciate that about him.
100%. Take care, brother.
Yeah. See you,
boys.
Hey, Rob, you talk about this stealth tanking, quote unquote. So Davion Mitchell continuously playing more than Jamal Shead. That's also a part of the stealth tanking.
No, I think that's just good asset management, because number one, I think it's pretty clear to me. In case
who's the better player? It's pretty clear who's the better player.
No. That was obvious literally on the first preseason game, first possession.
Yeah.
However, what I will say is, I think Darko knows that. Did you notice which point guard was on the court with the third stringers? The third stringer, Davion Mitchell, was on the court. So I think it's pretty obvious. I know
he knows who he doesn't want to get hurt. He knows who he doesn't want to get hurt.
I mean, ideally, you don't want either one of these guys.
Yeah,
to get hurt.
I know.
And this is not a slander thing on Davion. I think Davion is not bad. Jamal is just better, and it's perfectly possible for those two things to be true at once. Davion provides something. He's just not special at anything. He doesn't, like, we had this entire conversation about today on the panel about Bronny James and how I said that at his absolute apex he would be a poor man's Davion Mitchell, which is exactly how I feel about Bronny James. I don't believe that Davion Mitchell, under any circumstances, on his merit right now, like, let's just say Davion hadn't been drafted 9th overall by the Kings. Let's say he didn't have a contract. Let's say he had to start fresh at 26 and he shows up to, the Mad Ants or the Raptors 905 camp and tries to carve out an NBA career from scratch. He will never see an NBA floor. Ever.
I agree.
And that's not because he's not a perfectly fine player. It's just because as a 6-foot guard, you can't be this poor a shooter. I know he shot 36% last year. Please understand it was very low volume and they were very open and teams were daring him to shoot a lot. Okay. He's not great enough as a decision maker or a paint scorer. So I'm rooting for the kid. I want the kid to do well. I don't want this to turn into, Rob hates on Davion Mitchell. I like Davion. I mean, I was very complimentary of some of the stuff that he was saying. He's saying all the right things. But if you want any indication of how the Raptors feel about Davion Mitchell relative to how guys like Esfandiar Barahani and people who are hyping him up to
Oh my god, they just kept talking about defense.
Like, I'm not even trying to call the guy out, but like he wrote this entire article about how Davion is going to be like this big spark plug off the bench, and I think he referenced him as a 6th man or something like that. I could not get that article, and I'm just like, okay,
and what?
Like when
And
this is
Sacramento couldn't get
wrong,
rid of
no one is going to talk about this, but you cannot be talking about this guy. You cannot have played. You cannot watch basketball, watch Davion Mitchell play, and think he's in the same category as a TJ McConnell or a Peyton Pritchard or literally even, you know, a Tyus Jones. Like no. You have to be so good to be this undersized in the NBA. Like I have a renewed sense of empathy and respect for Fred VanVleet. Because again, one of the things about Fred that really tainted my perspective on him was the away from the court stuff. But on the court, holy shit, do you have any idea how much better than your competition you have to be as a 6-foot guard? You have to be like 2 times better than the 6'6" guy just to be on the court. Fuck getting minutes. Fuck getting a starting spot. Fuck being an all-star. You have to be so great. You have to be so skilled. So Jamal Shead, that's it. That's the prototype. Jamal Shead is the prototype of Fred VanVleet, Kyle Lowry, name them. TJ Ford, literally. Pick and roll maestro, good scoring gravity, good craftiness getting to the basket, although Fred didn't have that part of it. Pesky defender. You got to do all this stuff. You cannot be like, I cannot be playing. You can't be Michael Curry. You can't be PJ Tucker and be 6 feet tall.
No,
for PJ Tucker, you got to be 6'6" plus. And honestly, PJ Tucker from scratch does not. He's not an NBA player today. So, yeah,
Rob, Fred tonight. I just had to check it because I peeked.
14 points.
I do some court surfing, you know, because I have a league pass. And tonight, 4 of 18 from the field, 2 of 11 from 3. Okay. Yeah, 37 minutes. This. And, you know, his best days are behind him because physically he's just not the player he used to be with all the injuries and Nurse ran him into the ground and all that. But yeah, he's just not the same player.
Got him paid, man. Nurse got him paid.
Yeah, we got him paid, but he's not worth that contract. He just has no burst. But when he was physically right, oh my God, he was a great player when he was physically right.
Absolutely. And honestly, like any person who has ever hooped in their life has respect for Fred VanVleet. Any person I know who has hooped, even some of my friends, like they're coming at me. They're like, "Rob, you really talking a lot of shit about a guy that we respect and we love this guy." And I'm like, honestly, in a different context, I love him too, but not right now. Not right now. Not when you politically dominate my team and manipulate everybody in the media. That to me is a bridge too far. But you got to have respect for what it takes to be undersized and to make it in the NBA. Isaiah Thomas, TJ Ford, guys like this, right? It's not normal. The physics of the game are simply so against you when you're 6 feet tall.
And you cannot lose. You can't lose 1/10 of a step. You can't even lose that.
Yeah, because you're
Look
barely.
at Kemba Walker. You can't do it. You cannot do it. That's why Fred is going to. Fred is going to need the stars to align to shoot over 40% now. That's the step he's lost physically. Like it's glaring when you watch him play. He cannot beat you off the dribble. He can't do it. If there's a young guy on him who's whose legs, like he's not getting by Donovan Mitchell. It's not happening. It's just not happening off the dribble.
Absolutely.
It just will not happen.
And that's the thing. Like Donovan Mitchell is also like 6'1" max, right? But he's got that 6'10" wingspan. He is just he's got really elite burst. He's got the right body type. If I was Jamal Shead, I would pay a lot of attention to Donovan Mitchell because I know Jamal Shead doesn't have like crazy wingspan, but he's got a decent enough wingspan. I love some of the shots that he got today. I like some of the separation he gets. I think, and he's doing this without a jump shot. So Jamal Shead is breaking all the rules, by the way. You should not be as good as Jamal Shead is without a jumper. And when teams figure out that he can't shoot, it's going to get a lot harder for him. And he's going to hit a rookie wall like you've ever seen one. But his game, I just love his balance. I love his vision for the game, and I just love his competitive spirit. So to me, Jamal Shead is like, y'all. I don't know if you guys remember that video that I made where I ranked out all the tiers of young players, and there was one where I was putting the very, very top tier. I put Grady and Urish in that top tier, and then there was the next one which was with Jamal Shead. and I guess Jonathan Mobile was in that group, I would put Jamal Shead in the same tier as Grady now. Like, as in, I'm not trading him. I'm 100% invested in this kid. I understand it could still go, but it could still go wrong. It could still go wrong for Ulrich too. It could still go wrong for Grady too.
I just don't see how it goes wrong for Jamal, honestly. If he never improves from this, I just don't like.
If he never improves from this, he will be a third stringer.
Yeah.
He's not you're not going to be a lead. You're not going to be a lead guard or a backup guard on a good team without a jumper. You have to do that. And he knows that. He's not stupid. He gets
At least
that.
he's taking it. He's taking the shots. Whereas in the beginning, he kind of was hesitant those first couple of games.
Right.
What are your thoughts on, with this depleted roster, assuming IQ doesn't play on Friday? What do you think of coming off the bench, Jamal Shead and Battle as a
Battle.
duo?
I like Battle. I like Shead.
We need that. We need his shooting, bro. Like,
here's what I would run off the bench okay, first of all, I would start Jamal Shead. If IQ is not playing, Jamal Shead must start. He must start.
I'm just assuming we're going, stealth tank. So Davion starting.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So assuming Davion will start, and I'm actually with you on that. He probably will start. And that's not, again, please understand, everything I'm saying is not shade on Davion Mitchell. I don't need anyone to be like, Rob's hating on Davion. I have no skin in the game. I'm rooting for the guy. I want him to get paid. I want him to, but please understand also,
not by us.
The Raptors had a chance to extend him probably, I think what would have gotten it done, 3 years, 10 million would have gotten it done. And he's
a minimum guy. Sorry, he's a minimum guy. Is that minimum?
No, that's more than minimum. And
that's what I'm telling you. He's a minimum guy.
Because what, Corey Kispert just signed. What did he sign? He signed 44 million. Corey's way better than him. But there was a player who signed like a 15 million for 3 years type of deal. Moses Moody signed 39 for 3.
He's better.
No, I know that. I know Moses Moody's a lot better, and he's a lot younger too. I'm trying to understand like what his market value will be. I hope he knows, and if he doesn't know, he should know that he's a minimum guy next year. If he is an NBA player, he is a minimum contract guy. If he wants to play himself above a minimum contract, he's going to have to hit threes at a high pace, and he's going to have to command the game a lot better. And I think that's where I'm at with this. Let me just get CJ on here as well. CJ, what's up? Hello? CJ, mic's off. Okay, we'll wait for CJ to figure out his mic.
Here's my issue. Ochai played 25 minutes, okay? Nothing against Ochai. In 25 minutes, he attempted 0 threes, okay? In the 24 minutes, Davion Mitchell, he attempted 3 threes in 24 minutes, and he made 0. Mm-hmm. Jamal Shead played 19 minutes. He attempted 4 threes with he made 1. So that's not the end of the world, right? Mogbo can't shoot. Scotty's hit or miss with the jump. So right now, with no IQ and no RJ, it's live or die Grady Dick. Battle has to get on the court if you even trying to eke out wins. Like, where else are you getting threes?
Well, I would consider this. I would consider starting Scottie at the point. What do you have to lose?
Okay.
You started Scottie before.
Okay, then who? Tell me the rest of that starting lineup.
Okay, Scottie, Ochai, Grady. Wow, it gets so bad.
It gets bleak.
Okay, what about Boucher and Yak? And that way your bench will be Jamal and Davion, kind of adding pressure. Jamison Battle with probably one starter is going to have to play, as well as, oh my God, it's got to go to Bruno Fernando. This is the problem, man. Like, God, I wish we had.
That is, you are like, people have to understand. So, NBA players we don't have is RJ, IQ, Kelly Olynyk, Bruce Brown. Okay, on a team deprived of talent already, you're missing 4 NBA players and 2 starters.
Yeah. CJ, you have a little bit of background noise, but what's going on, man?
Can everyone? Is it gone now, or is it just probably the fan? on my laptop.
It might. Yeah, I think you're good. Yeah. What's going on? What did you think of the game?
I had family obligations, so I didn't watch it, but I was checking the score, and if this is gonna be like, I try to be an optimist, but well, could you make the case for me to watch anything this season? I can't stand a 10-game losing streak. I don't think I could go for that. Multiple 10-game losing streaks.
Well,
what I'm seeing.
Okay, sure. So first, why do you think there will be multiple 10-game losing streaks?
Just because of the injuries, man. We were already banged up, and now IQ's gone for who knows how long.
Could be back next game. We don't know. I mean, he did take a fall, but it's not like he fell from like a huge site, and it sucks that Darius Garland, undercut him like that. I'm sure he didn't mean to do it.
That should have been a flagrant, though. It doesn't matter if you mean to do it or not.
As much as I would like to say that's true, it feels like
he backpedaled. It was an accident, but you can't backpedal into a player who's jumping.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening with Darius Garland. I heard a lot of quotes about this is gonna be a revenge year or whatever, but I am of the opinion at this point that I wouldn't trade Bruce Brown and a first to get him. And that's not something that I would have expected to say a year ago. And speaking of undersized guards, that's an undersized guard. And Darius Garland, if you watch that guy in high school, oh my God, so good, man. People were talking about him. Like there were rumors about him, like no one can guard him and he's like the greatest and whatever. And he's had like one good year.
Yep.
One good year.
The year before Donovan.
The year before getting paid. So, I mean, imagine that. You're going to be a high lottery pick because of some shit you did in high school. And then on top of that, you're going to talk about how you lost your joy for the game, which I completely empathize with. And, if you lost your joy for the game, you lost your joy for the game. But you're going to get paid based on one good year. And I mean, you're kind of like fucking over your team at this point, because if he could just be halfway competent, I think the Cavs are a contender. Or at least a sub-contender. But like with him playing like ass, and he's not a good defender at all. I mean, if he's just going to be a 37% standstill shooter, I might as well just start Sam Merrill or Karis LeVert. And this is where contracts sometimes predictate who starts. Anyways, CJ, to answer your question, and I guess like why you should watch this team. Well, there's a lot of young players on this team that I think years from now are going to be very good. I think RJ Barrett's going to be really good. I do think he's turned a point in his career this year, and I think that everything that happened in New York is not relevant now. I've seen him be a really good basketball player for a year now. I think Immanuel Quickley is surprisingly good. I think Scottie Barnes is going to be a top 10 player in the league very shortly. Maybe next year, maybe a year and a half, but it's coming. And I do think this is going to be a fun brand of basketball. So, maybe tonight was not fun and you didn't watch it. So kudos to you. I did watch it. It was horrible. It was horrible to watch. But there's going to be a lot of fun games too, where Grady's hitting all the threes and Jamal Shead is getting downhill. This is way more enjoyable. This team, this product, this offense is way more enjoyable than the 41-win Raptors that Nick Nurse coached. It's not laboring basketball. There's going to be a lot of beauty to it. I don't know if you're a fan of rookies. I've always liked watching young players play basketball because it's cool to see the growth. There are 4 rookies on this team that I really believe in, all 4 of them. And, one of them will probably be down in the G League a lot in Urish. One of them splashed a 3 tonight in Jonathan Mobo, and one of them might become a future Raptor great in Jamal Shead. So, look, man, I don't know. If you don't want to watch a team that's going to go out and lose probably 50 games, fine. That's your prerogative. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun season no matter what. Because, look, one way or another, this team is going to be probably really good next year. So either you can be the person who watched them get there, or you can be the person who showed up when the party already started. It's really up to you. That's how I would sell it. Make sense?
Yeah, it's just a shame that during the draft, Edey was on the board for a good 1 or 2 or 3 picks before. Maybe that would.
What?
I would have liked to see that. A big like that.
Zach Edey went in the top 10. We picked 19.
Oh, sorry. Bad info. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
I seem to remember there must have been another player that was close that another YouTuber talked about.
Yves Missi was on the board when we picked. We did not pick him, and Kalal Ware went 15th, and we picked 19th. But I think Jacoby Walter is going to be great. Jacoby is going to be really good. His jump shot is so smooth. I had an interview with his trainer. He's very excited. Jacoby's excited. This is a good young player, man. I mean, this team has rebuilt on the fly. Nobody said they're a championship contender. I certainly did not say they're going to be a championship contender this year. I just think it's going to be a fun team. And you know what? There's one way to lose when you lose with Mohamed Gay and Malik Williams and DJ Carton and Jamias Ramsey as your closing lineup. There's another way to lose when you have Urish Shamshay and Jamal Shead and, Grady Dick out there. It's just a lot more fun, man. So, yeah. Anyways, thanks a lot for calling. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
I mean, them signing Bruno Fernando, I think you talked about it before, but it's like, are you telling me there's not another big, better available? Like,
oh, for sure there are.
To be exactly stealth tank. Am I losing it? You couldn't get a better big. This guy,
he's just not a great decision maker. I think he's averaged more turnovers than assists in his game. I don't understand
and he has
that.
Butterfingers. And he has Butterfingers.
Yo, Yak tonight was crazy. Like, I couldn't believe what I was watching with Jakob Poeltl. That was some nasty basketball. He needs to be so much better.
I also agree with you that if our next game against Philly at home with no Paul George and Joel Embiid, if we lose that game at home.
But wait, do we know for sure that there's gonna be no Paul George? I know there's no Joel Embiid, but do we know for sure there's no Paul George? And also, is Tyrese Maxey back?
Tyrese played today, didn't he?
Did he play today? Okay, because he hurt his hand on the Jalen Suggs dig, so I was curious if he came back.
I can check that right now. See if he played.
Yeah,
he played. Yeah, he played 39 minutes. But if we lose that game against Philly,
him 39 minutes. It's so fun.
If we lose that Philly game and go down 0-2, things can get ugly very fast. Very fast.
Yeah, they could. Okay. I need a break to just stop talking for 2 minutes. We're going to listen to Chris Boucher, who spoke with the media. And then afterwards, Coach Mo, if you want to stick around, we'll get back to you. And we're going to also bring on Tetrahedron as a final caller and hopefully get out of here at the 2 hour and 10 minute mark. I wanted to keep these post-game lives from going to 4 hour, therapy sessions. I think this has been relatively entertaining so far. We got the game breakdown. We talked about it a little bit. We got a few callers in. We watched a little bit of film. We heard from the coach. We heard from Scottie. I think this has been a pretty decent post-game. If you think this has been a pretty decent post-game live, please like this video. All right. Coach Mo, if you're sticking around, yeah, I'll bring you back on after Chris Boucher. Cool. Oh, nope. I loaded I loaded the Darko clip again. Just as I'm boasting what a smooth post-game live this has been.
Nice. How would you rank this one for yourself and your team?
I think that we got slapped in the face, and it's probably good for us, especially as young as we are. Just realizing that we got to play 48 minutes, and it's not easy to win games. So I think it's a good way for us to realize that the season is actually started, and we got to play a lot harder than we are right now.
How was yourself? How did you feel you played, and how did you keep yourself together last year when you weren't playing and come back and play like you have played in the preseason?
Well, I put a lot of work this summer, so I think that really helps. But also, it's just trying to find ways to impact the game. Clearly, we needed a little bit of pop, but I think that I played a lot of basketball with these guys this summer, and I've been around Scottie a lot, and I think this summer is really helping us to gel together and to find opportunities for us to score. And we had good moments. I think we just got to keep it going for more than 5-minute segments.
Chris, right at the back here. Last season, you did not get as many playing minutes as you're used to. Obviously tonight, much more expanded role. How does that feel given all the work you put in over the summer?
I mean, it feels good. Obviously, everybody wants to be on the floor, and you know, last year was a little bit harder for me to find minutes and all, so it definitely feels good. But like I said, I can't stop here just because I'm getting the minutes that I always wanted. I think the goal is to get better and find ways to help this team, and right now that's all I'm trying to do. Really, I feel like I'm knowing my game a little bit better. I'm finding ways to be effective more, but I also need to find ways to impact the game in a winning ways, not just when we're losing.
How do you avoid getting frustrated when the injuries, they're already kind of piling up as the season just started? How do you avoid the frustration?
I mean, you just keep believing that it's going to get better at this point. I think I've been in a lot of, every time I'm with the Raptors, there's somehow, some way, a lot of injuries that comes and goes. So, hopefully it's just a couple of bruises and we could come back to a full team. I think we could be a really good team when everybody's going to be back.
Chris, une question en français. Vous avez bien débuté le match, mais c'est au deuxième quart-temps que Cleveland a pris le devant. Selon toi, qu'est-ce qui n'a pas marché au deuxième quart-temps?
Je pense qu'on a commencé un peu trop lent. Du second quart, quand tu y penses, c'est 2-3 offensive rebounds, un peu de turnover, et après c'est 7-8 points déjà qu'on a perdu. Alors je pense que c'est ça qu'on va voir dans le film. Et trouver une façon de commencer faire ce que les starters ont fait et de continuer. C'est ça le but d'un bench, et on doit trouver une façon de faire ça.
Malgré.
Okay, Tetrahedron, what's going on? Final caller of the night.
Hey, how are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
Good, thanks. One of the main things I was thinking about was that we haven't really talked about was Comchi at the end of the night there.
Mm-hmm. No, we haven't talked about him very much, no.
I thought he was really good. I mean, yeah, he's playing against the deep bench at that point, but I mean, looking serviceable even at that point, having so little experience. Not bad.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be a work in progress all year.
For years.
Yeah, like, I mean, again, if Joe Tuamu is to be believed, and I believe he is to be believed, then what Ulrich is going to be able to do is accelerate his growth. He's going to be pretty reasonably good at basketball within a year and a half to 2 years, at which point you have probably a guy who's a lottery pick that you got at the 57th. I gave him a big shout out today on Player's Choice. There was like 2,000 people in the chat.
I watched it.
Oh, you did? And did you hear the shout out to Ulrich? Because people were talking about like Bronny James, like blah blah blah.
I didn't want to get into that. That was so frustrating. Like you had such a good point about how it's clear nepotism and it's ridiculous that he's like taking the spot of some guy that should have probably got the spot. And it makes perfect sense because
I personally, anyway. I understand favors happen. Thanasis absolutely happened, whatever. But it's like when you make a big deal out of something that shouldn't be that big a deal, that's where I draw the line. So for me, on the one hand, you have Bronny James, and we have a parade for him checking into a game for 2 minutes to do absolutely nothing, and shoot 2 shots, go 0 for 2, whatever. And on the other hand, you have Ulrich checking in, and the broadcasters can't even be bothered. Our broadcasters could not even be bothered to know who the guy is. And the fact that he's checking into a game for the first time, it was just like made like a non-event. And again, these moments count to me because of what I expect these guys to be. Like, this is not a Menke Batir where I'm like, okay, probably going to be out of the league next year. This might be relevant to Menke Batir's kids. But like, when a high lottery pick checks into the game for the first time off the bench, like when a Chris Bosh came in for the first time, it was a big deal because it was like, oh my God, like we will always remember this moment when Chris Bosh hit his first basket. These are mementos, and they should be mementos. And I understand that the Raptors predictably are trying to target fans like aforementioned, the caller we had previously, CJ, why should I watch this? And what the Raptors are doing right now is, I think, making a mistake. I think what they are doing, which I completely understand, is they are basically trying to make us nostalgic. Right? They're trying to give us some semblance of, look, it's still the Raptors. Look, there's TJ Ford, there's Damon Stoudemire, there's Jerome Williams. Remember all these guys? You love these guys. Please tune in to look at these guys in the crowd. And while we're looking at the guys in the crowd and the guy in the studio, Matt Bonner, legend Matt Bonner, love Matt Bonner. And, Red Rocket, Ride the Subway, love it. So a lot of good times, remembering a lot of fan favorites. Jerome Williams, fan favorite. Damon Stoudemire, Mighty Mouse, fan favorite. Inaugural season. Honoring all these guys on the one
fair
hand,
enough.
and not even mentioning that Jonathan Mobo hit his first 3 drove me crazy.
Rob, you're being entirely too generous. Like,
yeah, I am.
Way too kind. The 95% of everything both the announcers say all game is incredibly irritating drivel. It's very rare any of them ever say anything of any substance or consequence. And they should be saying these things about these guys, not because it's the nice things to do. It's because it's their job.
That is fair. And I am, I've been entertaining this for a while because I was particularly annoyed by Alvin Williams calling the game, last year. And he got better. In his defense, he got a lot better. Vince is one of my favorite players of all time. This does not need to be revisited. His color commentary skills are abysmal at this point. He's not good. And I can be real about that. So 2 things can be true. You know what I mean? Like I can love Vince Carter, the player, and I fought tooth and nail for 20 plus years for this fan base to have a new vision of him. That being said, in the effort to ingratiate or to refamiliarize fans with this, Vince Carter is the greatest thing since sliced bread thing now, we're doing the same thing that we did the first time, which is we're not being very real about things, right? And to me, it's like, I don't care how much I lie, reality is not going to change. Okay. Like some people are still going to hate Vince Carter, and they're very annoyed that he's on the broadcast. They're very annoyed that he's getting his jersey retired. I personally am very happy that he's a part of all of this. I'm happy that he's a part of the 30th year. I love the fact that he's getting his jersey retired. He deserves to get his jersey retired.
Absolutely.
All of that being true, I can still comment that maybe having him as a broadcaster right now when he is not super familiar with the team, because he is bringing up stuff like that just does not need to be brought up. Like Scottie Barnes needs to be, he said at one point, he's like, I hope that Scottie Barnes is, talking to Garrett Temple. It's like, well, to those of us who follow the team and covered the team, we know that this has already happened.
Yeah.
And so we don't need to hear that, right? So that's sort of the tough thing about, Matt Devlin knows that's happened because Matt Devlin has been here. Matt Devlin's in Toronto. Matt Devlin follows the team. Matt Devlin is up to date on Twitter and everything with what's happening with the team. And when you're not up to date with the team, you start saying things and you don't know who players are and you don't know where they're coming from. Like if you quiz Vince Carter right now on who is Ulrich Shamshay, he don't know jack shit. The problem is, though, if I am trying to sell people on why they need to watch this team, I would be trying to tell them about the youth. Because Grady Dick ain't chopped liver and Jacoby Walter ain't chopped liver. These guys are highly touted 5-star recruits, much like Vince Carter was. Much like Damon Stoudemire. I don't remember if Damon Stoudemire was a 5-star recruit. I don't remember that far back. I was a child.
Yeah,
but guys like that. So look, like it's a missed opportunity. Doesn't surprise me. The Raptors are not the greatest with the branding at times. We the North was a rare win, really. A rare freaking win for this thing. But yeah, I'm not thrilled about the idea of discarding these guys because they're young players and because they're second round picks. Nikola Jokic, this jigsaw puzzle thing, Nikola Jokic was drafted during a Taco Bell commercial. Bronny James had an entire night devoted to him. That's what drives me crazy. It drives me crazy because it does not feel fair. And I understand that growth is unpredictable and all that shit. But I treat people with respect until they show me they're not worth my respect. I'm not going to treat you with a respect because you're a top 5 pick. I'm going to treat you with respect because, you show me that you understand basketball and you have a commitment to getting better. There's a lot of kids in the second round. There are kids who weren't drafted this year that are going to have a chance to have really successful basketball careers. To me, to my perspective, I would say those kids have family that might be watching this. And they are so excited. Can you imagine? Like, I'm trying to, maybe I'm way, way too honed in on this. And people often accuse me of dying on hills that nobody cares about. So
actually, the problem isn't that you are too honed in on this. The problem is you're actually being too nice about this, even though it seems like you're being somewhat negative about it. The like the Toronto Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, they're bad at their jobs. Like, I'm not saying like the GM and president, like the actual runners of the teams themselves. I mean, the people who run the overall business. Like, the fact that Matt Devlin and Jack and Alvin are there is a scathing indictment of their ability to hire competent and good quality people. Like, there's been announcers in history that we know of, like the Buffalo Bills announcer, I think from the mid 90s. Unbelievable. Just second to none.
Who's your favorite Raptors color commentator, broadcaster ever? I'm just curious.
I never really liked any. Like, there were, like, honestly, like, just for sheer entertainment value, Jack, but he was never good.
Could you guess mine?
I honestly can't. I'm one of those terrible people that basically jumped in 2019, and it was a funny story of how I came to even watch basketball, which was my boss always watched basketball, and we basically hang out and smoke cigars all day. So he was just like, "Oh man, you got to watch it. It's really great." And I was fine, I'll watch a game. And the second I watched a game, I was like, "Oh yeah, this is now my sport." And I stopped watching hockey the next day.
That's so interesting. You know, our audience demographic, it features a lot of hockey fans, which is very interesting because we live in Toronto, right? And of course, yes, I understand that. Just as someone who didn't grow up watching hockey, that's been really interesting for me because I've always had this very strained relationship with hockey where I don't want to watch it, but now I actually want to watch it and I want to learn more about it. So it's very interesting. To answer the earlier question.
Sorry, go on.
To answer the earlier question about who is my favorite broadcaster, it is like not even close. It is not even close. It's like him, and there's like 28,000 feet of mud, and then there's the next guy. It's Chuck Swirsky. I love Chuck. Chuck checks in that mill. Like, I have such fond memories of Chuck. And it wasn't because he was always the most insightful. He was. It was because he always called these games from his heart.
Yeah,
he was.
But you can feel that.
Yes, and everything about who he's been since he left the Raptors with the Bulls in Chicago and everything it's consistent. It's all consistent, all of it. So, you know, if I try to, you know, and I actually want to say, like, I actually wanted to be like Chuck.
I can understand that.
You know, like when he used to do his checks in column, I started writing my checks in column in 2006 because of him. And
that's often how we find inspiration in life.
Yeah, and what I really appreciated about Chuck was just, again, the empathy.
Well, he was genuine.
Exactly. He didn't lie. And that I appreciate. He didn't lie, and he wasn't an idiot. So I appreciated him immediately because that pretty much puts him over 85% of these guys.
100%.
And the other thing that I found is, okay, like, so the leading from the heart stuff, the empathy element comes down to trying to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. Now, obviously, you know, if you're at this game and they're getting blown up by 30, you have a job to keep the audience at home entertained, right? And the audience at home maybe wants to hear about Vince Carter's time with Toronto or what he thinks of someone's shoes or whatever, because the game is not of any consequence. However, I would imagine, if I was calling the game, what if Jonathan Mobo's family is watching?
But don't you think a competent announcer could do both seamlessly?
Oh, for sure. 100%. This is a matter of focus and a matter of direction. Whoever is directing these guys did not tell them that Ulrich Shamshe, a kid from Bafang, Cameroon, who has left his family at the age of 14 to go to NBA Africa Academy in Senegal. None of this information is readily available on these guys' tip of their tongues because they don't care.
Which is disgraceful.
You know what? It is disgraceful. And,
yes.
and you know what? I'll agree with you on that. And it's not disgraceful in the way that it is morally corrupt.
No, exactly. Yeah.
It's just, it's a pity. It's a pity because if anyone should have empathy for a off the beaten path basketball player finding his way, a second round pick rising to prominence, it should be Alvin Williams.
It's a pity morally, but it's a disgrace to your profession. Like, your professionalism should say, all I do, my entire job is to know basically everything about this team and commentate on it as competently as humanly possible. And not even to have the most basic information on the tip of your tongue about your newest players at the beginning of your brand new season. That's ridiculous. Okay, I get it if it's March and you kind of forgot a little bit about it.
Yeah.
But this is day one.
Shout out to Paul Jones. Paul Jones is great. Paul Jones is really good. See, I've actually met some of these people, and I get a glean. I've really understood who I like and who I don't like. Paul Jones is awesome. Really good guy. Chuck Swirsky, awesome. A1 person. If you met Chuck Swirsky in person, you would love him. There's a couple of people that you would never want to meet in person, and I'll spare you who those people are. Randy seems really nice too. Only met him, I think, twice, handful of times, but yes, there's a couple of these people where I'm just like, I don't know who the hell hired these people or whose pictures they have. I don't like them. Point being, the story of Ulrich, the story of Jamal, and the story of Jonathan should be in part the story of this season.
Well, exactly.
In part,
you're writing narratives.
It doesn't have to be the whole season. I understand that people will not buy into it, but man, when you're writing a book, all three of these guys are so interesting. Just bear with me for a second.
Yeah. Sorry.
They alluded to Jamal Shead's storied, college career, which I appreciate. And I'm happy they did that, right? But Jonathan Mobo's path is not unforeseen. Paralleling that path to other JUCO prospects who made the jump, maybe other guys like Derek White, for instance, just having that frame of reference for the audience at home to be able to be like, hey, Jonathan Mobo is trying to follow in the footsteps of a Derek White, and here's a list of other players who made it from JUCO to 5-year seniors to the NBA, et cetera, et cetera. This is, maybe even, I don't know if they have the broadcast rights to show a clip of him in college or some of the stuff that he did, point to some stats that he had in college. This is a player who literally led his conference last year in almost everything. Ask the average Raptor fan, they don't know that. They don't know that he led the conference in Boston minus. They don't know that he led his entire conference in rebounds. Jamal Shead was a more decorated college player, as he should be, because he was great in college.
Well, yeah.
I loved learning that thing about, he was the only Houston player since Bo Outlaw to win Defensive Player of the Year, and that's a great stat. That's an awesome stat. I'm happy to learn that as I'm watching the game, because I actually didn't know that, and I know a lot about Jamal Shead, so that's awesome. Exactly. So then you have Ulrich, and then not even a mention of NBA Africa Academy. You know how many people are watching this game from Africa? You know how many people in Ulrich's hometown are probably watching this game? Ulrich got into the game, Ulrich scored his first fucking bucket, and we get nothing. We get nothing for this.
Exactly.
This kid is chopped liver. I hope Ulrich becomes a fucking all-star just so I can put this in these people's faces and be like, you had a responsibility to call this game. You had a responsibility to get the fans excited about this young kid who ultimately is a part of your future. He is going to be on this team and he is going to be good. I'm positive of it.
I agree.
And
I'm actually highest on him.
And if nothing else, it is a good plug to go watch the 905. Are we not running a business here? Why am I doing your job for you? That's my problem.
That's exactly it. Thank you. You're running a business. And
Daryl, thank you so much for this comment. So the Cavs broadcasters mentioned that Ulrich was the first player to debut an NBA franchise in NBA directly out of the NBA Academy Africa. Thank God. You know what? Here's my hope. I hope that all of Cameroon got the Cavs broadcast instead of the Raptors broadcast. That's awesome. Thank you so much for that.
It's
insight,
possible, actually, because you never know what they're going to get over there.
My point is, I'm sure that I'm not the biggest Ulrich Shamshay fan in the world. I'm a huge fan of him.
Well, you're not, because I am.
There you go. There you go. You might be a bigger fan of him than I am, and maybe his family and his parents and kids from Cameroon here and people maybe in Africa who are looking at him. He is a big deal to somebody out there, just like Nikola Jokic was a big deal to us. And I say us as a Serbian person, it was a really big deal to us. And it was so disappointing to watching the draft and seeing your countrymen drafted during a Taco Bell commercial.
Rick Nash was big to us.
Sure. I don't know who that is. Who's Rick Nash? Is he a basketball player?
Oh, wait a minute. Steve Nash. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I said Rick Nash.
Okay. Yes. It's funny. I was like,
this complete brain fart.
Okay, no worries. I should have probably put that together from context. My point being, I don't want to make a huge deal out of this. It's not a travesty. It's not a disgrace. I don't agree with you that it's a disgrace or whatever. I just think it's an
No,
unfortunate missed
it's a
opportunity.
disgrace to
That's
their
all I'll say.
professionalism is all.
Sure. You know what? If you want to go that far, you go that far. And if the fact that the Cavaliers franchise, if the Cavaliers broadcasters brought up that the opposing teams, because it is history in the making. It is history in the making. You know how many people are involved in NBA Africa Academy? There's like thousands and thousands of people are involved in this. How many people have been involved in Urish's, development to date? And it's like I kind of hate this idea of like we're only going to talk well about someone when they show that they're relevant. But it's like the fact that he's made it to the NBA as an 18-year-old, he's the youngest player in the NBA, and that stat was not mentioned once today. Not once. Here comes the first player from NBA Africa Academy in history who is the youngest player in the NBA currently.
Yes.
That is something. I think that would, and now when he scores his first basket as a fan at home who has labored through this 30 fucking point blowout, I now have something to root for. I am sorry to Raptor fans out there who have already checked out on this season 2 months ago. I'm sorry that if tonight was really hard for you to watch, that this was another reason for you to not watch basketball games. I'm trying to tell you, just as I tried to tell you 2 years ago that 3 years ago, I was trying to tell you that we were heading into a disaster with the Fred and Pascal situation, and no, a lot of people weren't listening. And I was trying to tell people when Scottie was having that struggle that he was going to be fine, and no one was really listening. I'm trying to tell y'all again, the Raptors are back. They are going to put together a really interesting young core, and if they end up with another high lottery pick, I'm sure they'll hit that pick too. But the young kids are they are the future. I know it sounds very redundant to say the kids are the future. The kids are the future.
Yeah,
And just like, and you know what? I remember, 2015, 2016, there was a lot of people like, man, this Siakam, this Fred, they could be something someday, this bench mob, they're going to be something. And they ended up becoming the key part of your championship rotation. Right? This Norman Powell, like this greatest basket pick for this Norman Powell. What's Norman Powell? So again, I always remember back, and I've shared the story 4 times, but I'll share it the 5th time, and I'll try not to share it again this year because it brings me back to how underrated people are until they're properly rated. When I was playing the pickup game, and the guy said we got a random point guard from Houston, and that point guard was Kyle Lowry, and it was a 1st round pick, and everyone was really disappointed that we didn't get Steve Nash to bring up Steve Nash and tie it back to your point.
Yeah.
But I was so excited because I was like, man, I love Kyle Lowry because I actually watched him in Villanova. I liked him in Houston. I liked him in Memphis. He couldn't shoot, but he was a great player. So that's what I'm saying. Like, give these guys a chance. Use your eyes. Check for yourself. Go watch the Kobe Walters tape in high school and tell me you don't think this guy's going to be a really good player. He's going to be great. You just need to be a little bit patient. To everybody out there who's freaking out right now, just miss me with that energy. It's going to be fine. It's going to be just fine.
I completely agree. Yeah. Like, I'm on the same page.
Yeah. Any final thoughts, Tetrahedron?
Well, I just had the business aspect of it. I always thought was twofold, and my brain's doing that thing again. Darn.
It's okay. Live streams are hard, man.
Oh yeah, so all season. You're essentially writing a story about the season with your commentation. And like, if you've ever read a book, there's never just sort of one universal story throughout the book. It's a series of different narratives throughout the book that makes a great book.
Sure.
And that's your job as the voice of the Raptors, is to make the best book you can make for that season.
It's a good way to look at it. I agree.
I had to forget the other points.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Thanks a lot, Tetrahedron.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you very much.
Cheers.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. On the note of creating the best book for the Raptors get off to a bumpy start. Bumpy is putting it generously. A 30-point blowout on the 30th anniversary was not on my bingo card. But as I said, this is about the future. And look, I understand that it might be hard to explain how one player can make that big a difference. And that one player doesn't have to be a superstar. If you swapped out Bruno Fernando and Davion Mitchell for a Tyus Jones and a Clint Capella, which you easily could have brought into your roster if you really wanted to, you probably are in this game the entire way through. I don't know if you win this game, but you're in it. The consequence in 5-on-5 basketball, especially at the NBA level, of having even one non-shooter out there for half a quarter could be a 12-0 run, could be a 15-0 run. One player being compromised in a defensive scheme sets your entire team on fire. If you want an example of that, Karl-Anthony Townsend drop against the Boston Celtics on opening night was a train wreck. It was a train wreck. Because he can't do what Isaiah Hartenstein can do defensively, which is why the Knicks were better with Isaiah Hartenstein. If you want to see another example of this, you could look at Julius Randle. Ironically, the Karl-Anthony Towns Julius Randle trade. You could look at Julius Randle last night getting backdoor cut to death by Rui Hachimura. Rui Hachimura brought it up in the postgame. We knew. Smart coaches target your weaknesses, which is why you cannot play non-NBA players in an NBA game and expect to not get blown out. It's not going to work. That's why the Raptors got blown out last year as often as they did. They were playing non-NBA players. Jalen McDaniels is not an NBA player. Got bad news for Jalen McDaniels and his family. You don't have two NBA players in that family. You have one. The other one is going to China. He's not going to be in the NBA. Malachi Flynn, non-NBA player. Can we look at the roster that the Raptors held last year on opening night and tell me how many of those guys are actually in the NBA still? Malachi Flynn has been waived. Jalen McDaniels has been waived. And next year, take a look at this roster. I'll guarantee you 2 to 3, if not more, of these guys will be out of the league. There's a button that I pressed on my mic that takes me out of the studio, and I've pressed it twice now. Layne, what's going on, man?
Yo.
What's going on?
OH?
Hmm?
OH?
What's OH?
Oh, okay. So
Ohio?
Yeah, at Ohio State, you go OH, someone else goes IO. That's like yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not from Ohio.
I know.
I thank God for that every day.
Whoa. We gave you.
I'm kidding. No, I'm not kidding, actually.
I'm not going to act like it's some magical place, but we did produce the Jamison Battle, who looked fantastic tonight, I will say.
Hold on. You produced? Get the fuck out of here. He went there for 1 year.
No. That 1 year was so monumental in his career.
Oh, for sure. It was great. It was great.
I said that very sarcastically. The dude works his ass off. He made himself, absolutely, and he's just a hell of a guy. He's a stand-up guy. He was great in the community when he was here, and he's going to do great things in Toronto if they allow him to.
Mm-hmm.
He was great tonight. Shead was great tonight. Grady was great tonight. Everyone else didn't even bother showing up for the most part. I mean, Quickley was cool, but yeah, I mean, he got hurt, so it's kind of hard to judge somebody off half of a half. Yeah, that was kind of disheartening.
Did you watch a lot of Jamison Battle in college?
Oh, of course.
Were you a huge fan? Did you see a lot of playmaking from him? I didn't watch a ton of him in college, so I'm very much playing catch up scouting right now. I watched maybe 2 games of him. So
I did. I did. It wasn't like he was a primary initiator, but like he was like the connect guy a lot in college. But he was a leader.
Who does he remind you of? Does he remind you a little bit of George Niang?
Oh, I say give it 2 years, and he is way better than George Niang could ever imagine being.
Whoa, that's some high praise.
Like this dude's leadership and maturity is off the freaking charts.
Yeah, I'm finding myself wanting to buy a lot of his stock. And again, there's tiers of prospects, right? I've been thinking a lot about top 1,000 because ever since I said it on the panel that Bronny James is not a top 1,000 player in the world, and I'm very firm that nothing I've seen has changed my mind on that. I've been thinking of that qualification of 1,000, 2,000, 500, 200, 150. Like in terms of that, what does that player look like? Who is that player? How do you find more of those players? I'm pretty comfortable saying right now, if you're not a top 500 player and I play you in an NBA game, I'm going to lose a lot of minutes.
Yeah.
And right now, Jamison Battle ain't a top 500 player in the world.
No.
And Davion Mitchell ain't a top 500 player in the world. And Bruno Fernando ain't a top 500 player in the world.
Bruno Fernando's not a top 5,000 player in the world. Holy crap. Just, I said that sarcastically, but the energy when he comes into the game, like Jakob was terrible tonight, and Jakob was still 100 times better. Like, that is so sad. That is so sad.
Top 5,000 is brutal, bro. He is definitely a top 5,000 player in the world. Put this guy in EuroLeague and he's dominating the rebounds. But he is not a top 500 player in the world, and that to me is a very bad thing when you're 26 years old. You can't be 26 and not top 500, and that's exactly what Davion and Bruno are. You could also count DJ Carton in the not top 500, but at least he's 23 years old and he's young and he might get better. That's where I'm at with Jamison Battle. My hope is that at some point he can be a top 250 player in the world. That would be a monumental step up because that's a rotation player.
So
Sam Merrill is a top 250 player in the world.
Oh, for sure. I think he can be at least 95% of what Sam Merrill is.
But bigger.
Offensively. Defensively, I think he can double what Sam Merrill is. I honestly think
You think he's that lights out, eh?
Yeah, I honestly think when it's said and done, like if we're like 5 or 6 years from now, I'm like, damn, Jamison Battle's like a top 22 player in this draft class. Like, that's not crazy.
Do you still prefer Bryce Sensabaugh over him though, right?
I prefer Bryce Sensabaugh purely off of potential and athleticism.
And because he's younger.
It younger helps, yeah. But I mean, like, at the end of the day, theory is just theory. And I take that with, like, age. Age is just age, right? Like, it doesn't mean anything unless it's going to mean something down the road. So, like, sure. But no, Sensabaugh's a freak of an athlete.
Yeah. You're saying really nice things. And, Layne, I absolutely like you and you're great for this show. But I'm sorry, I got to do this. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry in advance.
Do you regret anything that you said about Cleveland?
Not at all.
I don't blame him. Cleveland's crap.
You like it? You think
the worst place?
Cleveland's cool? I mean, I never heard anybody say I'm going to Cleveland on vacation. I mean, what's so good about Cleveland?
The only worst U.S. city is Detroit. The only worst city in the United States is Detroit.
I think Raptor fans just needed a reason to feel okay about things right now, and it's hard when you've been bigging up Scottie Barnes online against Paolo, against Jalen, against Cade, whatever, and literally every single one of his contemporaries had a ball out game tonight. So it is what it is.
You got enough engagement, you can go get yourself like a Chipotle burrito or something, feel a little bit better about yourself.
I should?
Yeah.
I should get a burrito?
Yeah, doesn't Twitter pay you for engagement?
Should I be getting paid for Twitter engagement?
Yeah.
I'm not getting paid for Twitter engagement.
So there's a bunch of like fan pages I follow, like especially for like baseball, and like they get like $200 a month from like 2 million people engaging with their posts.
I need to look into this because some of our posts do get crazy engagement.
You might have to like pay Elon though, like $10 a month to be able to like unlock that.
Zigsaw Puzzle saying you got a check mark. I do not have a check mark.
Oh,
but I recently found out that because I don't have a check mark, I also can't simultaneously broadcast this onto Twitter, which is interesting because I just recently found out that StreamYard does actually simul broadcast to X. So y'all could watch this on X, which is interesting.
Might be time to put some money in the Elon's pockets then.
Interesting. Yeah. So technically, if I support Elon, am I technically indirectly supporting the orange guy?
I mean, depends how you look at it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he needs my money to support Orange Man. But man, the state of I wish there was a filter. I wish there was a way on Twitter. I was thinking about this today, and I was like, man, this would be a great app. What if I could build an app that could just filter out all Justin Trudeau content off my timeline? I just don't want to see it. I hate him, love him, don't want to see his face on my timeline.
Okay. You said hate him, love him, you don't want to see him. I was going to ask, like, you don't like Trump and you don't like Trudeau? That's a very interesting political stance.
I don't like anybody. I like Uri Shamshay and Jamal Shead. Those are my people.
I love that. I like politicians that aren't politicians.
So wait, are you under the impression that people who do not like Justin Trudeau like Donald Trump?
No. But usually people who don't like Trudeau like Trump, and people who don't like Trump like Trudeau. Like usually, like you fall on one or two sides of the spectrum. but like it's not
What if I just hate people who are really bad at their jobs?
fair.
I mean, they're both really bad at their jobs, right? They're both terrible at their jobs, so I can absolutely despise both of them.
Fair.
Anyways,
It's very rare that somebody is as open-minded as that. I mean, agree or disagree, it's very rare that someone's as open-minded. So you love to see it.
Yeah. Did any other takeaways from tonight's game before we get out of here?
Shead should be the backup point guard.
Right. I said it literally in the first preseason game. I was like, give it like it's so obvious he's better. But people are gonna tell me I'm a Davion hater. I'm not a Davion hater. Shead's just really good. He's a really good player. You know what? He's maybe he's not. He is a top 500 player. That will I'll say.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
He is a top 500 player. He is the one guy on that list that separates himself clearly as a top 500 player. He is.
So one thing for me, and I don't know if it's the same for you, that when I look at a young guard, how good they are, how good they could potentially be, is their ability to get to the rim, but not just get to the rim, but finish. He consistently does that at like 6 feet tall.
Oh yeah. And you know, he's found all these gaps and angles to I was ranting earlier how damn difficult it is to be a 6-foot guard in the NBA. Like you have to be so good. The ability to do this without a jump shot will catch up with him 100%. When teams scheme him, when teams scout him, he's going to hit a rookie wall of all rookie walls, and literally this entire fan base is going to turn on him. I can guarantee this is going to happen. But I would absolutely urge them not to, because he will figure out the jump shot. I'm positive his shooting mechanics aren't hitchy or broken or whatever. He needs time. He'll figure this out. He's a super hard worker, super smart kid, and he has like real goals with this. You know, like one of the things I often use with like young prospects is I try to understand what is their actual vision for themselves. That usually helps me understand when will they get complacent, how detailed is the vision, how realistic is it, what have they done to date that shows me they are actually committed to it. His vision is to be, you know, a multi-year vet in the NBA. He's not hyping himself up. He didn't come here like Marquise Noel and say, I'm going to be the greatest Raptor of all time. He didn't do that. That shows me that he's secure. He's not coming here and he's not down talking Davion Mitchell or Emmanuel Quickley. He's giving everyone praise. He's listening to everybody. That shows me he's humble. He got a reach out from Fred VanVleet. That shows me he's smart. Literally, if I was a 6-foot guard and I didn't know who Fred VanVleet was, and I would want to get in touch with him too and be like, hey, give me some pointers on how the hell I can get paid $43 million. He is just really, you know, just impressive as a person. Yeah, and I always believe that you invest in people. Whatever you do in basketball, executive, lawyer, whatever, you're always investing in people. I would invest in Jamal Shead right now. I will bet on the 7-year future of this kid over the 7-year future of like half of the first round.
Agreed.
He's going to be good.
Agreed. He's better than Cavs' first round pick already.
He's what?
It's not bad. Tyson. He's better than Tyson. I'd say he's better than Tyson.
Sure. And I mean, like, you know, undersized guard, oversized shooter, you know, like it's different archetypes, whatever. Obviously, you're drafting Yves Missi not because he's better than Jamal Shead right now. You're drafting him based on the fact that he can be better than Jamal Shead. You know, and he might be. He may very well be the next, you know, all defensive first team type of guy. Because I remember myself being very enamored with Yves Missi throughout this draft process. If you followed any of my draft process, I was like Yves Missi or bust.
I mean, like,
I had him like top 10.
Not to compare, but like I think potential is kind of overrated because that's the same reason Luka fell to 3, right? Like he was clear cut the best player in the draft, and he fell to 3 because I mean they just overlooked him. They looked at Marvin Bagley and they looked at DeAndre Ayton, and they're like, oh, that's potential, right? So like potential be overrated time and time again. I mean, sometimes it's just best. I'll take a Shead any day of the week, you know. That is a junkyard dog. That's kind of what this team needs more of, is more junkyard dogs, not fringe NBA guys. And I don't think he's anywhere close to a fringe NBA guy. Like, I think if the Raptors
I just don't think you can have so many Jamal Sheads and still successfully lose basketball games. If he had a jumper, at this point, if the fully realized version of Jamal Shead was on the court, he would have dug you back into this game. He tried. Yeah. Lord knows he tried. He tried to infuse, and it helped. Right away, when Jamal Shead started to score and started to put together a run by himself, by the way, when his team was down over 20, Immediately, the next play, we saw more energy on the offensive glass. Immediately, we saw a higher pickup point. It is infectious. Basketball is infectious. And so what I would urge is if Darko Rajakovic wants to win a single game this year, you need to manage these lineups with Chris Boucher and Bruno Fernando. You need to be sure what the fuck you're doing with these guys. And stop throwing Scottie out there to carry these units because he's not that player. I mean, again, I don't know enough about development relative to Darko Rajakovic. Maybe he has a plan. Maybe it's all going to work out. But I don't see what benefit you can get from putting Scottie on a lineup with those kind of players.
No, nothing at all, because you're just going to make Scottie look stupid.
Exactly. And you're gonna make his life harder. And now he's going to be even more dissuaded from trying to be an offensive engine because every single time he tries to go to his bag, but he's not realizing, or maybe Scottie's a super smart player, so he does realize the spacing around him is absolutely awful. And of course, when you try to tell a common fan or a casual fan, like, hey, do you understand how bad the players around him are? They'll be like, oh, so it's everybody else's fault, not Scottie's fault. And it's like, bro, there are certain players that can play in a phone booth, and it doesn't matter who you put around them. But those players are always going to be ineffective or effective. It doesn't matter. Joe Johnson, he is pretty much a lock for 55% true shooting, 25 points per game. Doesn't matter the team context. If he gets up enough shots, he's going to get his 25 points. Cam Thomas is another guy. Jalen Green is another guy. Lou Williams, Jamal Crawford. There's lots of guys.
I would say Pascal Siakam's one of those guys too.
Pascal Siakam is one of those guys. Pascal is a much bigger version of those guys, but he's that guy. He's that kind of guy too. Carmelo Anthony is one of those guys.
Right.
Paolo Banchero is going to become one of those guys. Those guys, I don't rate those guys as highly as I rate a Jokic. But if you put Nikola Jokic next to nothing when he was younger, he'd have a game just like tonight.
Yeah.
Because he wouldn't know what the fuck to do. Like, what do you do? Everything you want to do on the basketball court requires other people to move.
There's a lineup that I've been thinking of that I'd love to see with everyone healthy. Like a Battle, Quickley, Scottie, Barrett, Olynyk lineup. Two guys that can slash, right, really well, and Scottie and Barrett. Scottie is the point. You have spacing with Quickley and Battle, and then Olynyk obviously is a passer and a shooter. Like, I feel like that's a lineup where like a guy like Scottie is really going to thrive, or a guy like RJ is really going to thrive.
Right.
That's a very
and I mean, like when Scottie can create a little bit of space and then pitch it out. Of course, like I mean, he had some beautiful passes in this game, like really gorgeous dimes, right?
That one that Boucher was absolutely so pretty.
Oh yeah,
Cross-court.
Yeah. Let's get past cross court. So it's like, you know, and again, if you want to run one man fast break and your teammates won't run, like you're not running. You're not in transition offense. You're just going. You're going to go into a wall. And I mean, we watched a Giannis Antetokounmpo in his prime, by the way, in 2018, 2019, go up against the Raptors wall. And he had Chris Middleton on the court. He had good players around him. There's no teammate Scottie has that's as good as 18, 19 Chris Middleton.
No.
There's no teammate he has that even touches a Brook Lopez. Nobody. And just because the Bucks had Eric Bledsoe on the court, in my opinion, the Raptors were able to wall up and completely shut down Giannis.
Yeah.
That's what happens. So Kenny Atkinson wanted to get his first win, and he got it. You know, Darko Rajakovic was slow to adjust. He lost it. I don't expect him to win this game. I also don't expect him to lose by 30. I expected them to lose by like 6, 8. I did not expect a 30-point blowout. But there's old wisdom. A loss is a loss. You know?
If it's by 1 or by 50.
I mean, you know, what's that old quote from Dominic Toretto in the original Fast and Furious? Ask any racer, any real racer. Doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile, winning's winning. Same thing is true for losing. You know, and, you know, it may feel worse when you lose by 30 because we're programmed to think that way, right? Like a 30-point loss, that's a big deal. Did the Raptors have something on the line here? Once they knew they were out of it and they were there's like a game within the game, right? You have a game plan. Keep it close till the half. We don't have the firepower to come back from a 25-point run without Emmanuel Quickley. And maybe if Quickley's healthy, you make this a 10-point game in the fourth quarter. Maybe. And no one's talking about this. Because at that point, they're like, oh, they kept it close. They kept it competitive with Emmanuel Quickley. You know, RJ Barrett was out. Kelly Olynyk's out. Bruce Brown's out. That team had continuity. This team's new, et cetera, et cetera. Scottie had a bad game. We'll be fine. But you lose by 30, all bets are off. Everyone crashes out. Everyone goes crazy.
I'd rather get our ass kicked this early because you're going to find out who's a man And who's their
That's what I said in the beginning. You will
Yeah.
really find out a lot about your team based on how they respond to this type of thing. The last time the Raptors blew a home opener by this much, well, it's never happened because this is historical. It's 30 points, the biggest loss in home opener history. But the last time they set the record was 2021, as I mentioned before, against the Wizards. It was a 15-point loss. They came out the next game and blew the shit out of the Boston Celtics. Blew them out. So we will see if that happens with Philly. And you know what? Again, there are ways to lose and there are ways to win. And I think this fan base hopefully will support a team that goes out and plays hard. I don't think this team played hard tonight. I really don't. I think they played lazy, sloppy, slow basketball. And that's not what the doctor ordered. And at some point, if you're more talented, if you're way more talented, like if you're the Golden State Warriors, 2019 Golden State Warriors, 2018 Warriors, 2017 Warriors, if you're the 2013 Heat, you can go out and play worse and win. But if you're the Toronto Raptors, you will not win a single game this year that you play worse than your competition. You will lose to the Brooklyn Nets if you play worse than them. That's the margin. You just have to be that connected and that good.
Is there any news on Quickley yet, by chance?
I don't know. I haven't been on Twitter, but maybe like honestly, man, I have a feeling they'll just rest him. They'll probably just sit him out.
Yeah.
At which point you're gonna see Scottie Barnes go out there and try to carry a unit of a totally hopeless unit. And again, here's the thing. The fans will probably not support, and the players probably would not support a tank at game 20. I said this earlier, when there was a live earlier in the summer where Vince and I got into not heated, because nothing's ever heated between me and Vince, but we were like, I was very animated and very passionate that we must root for wins until it is no longer logically possible to do so. Right? Because it's important for teams to go out and try to win.
Right.
From a team building perspective, you cannot be like, oh, here comes a 65 loss season. That's how no development happens, because you just can't get motivated properly to come out and try to lose 65 games. You got to have the hope until you lose it. So first 20 games, if you go 3-17, that's your season. You're done. Peace. You're gone. You don't have the firepower. You don't have the talent. You don't have the first round picks. You don't have anything to make up that gap. Once you fall that far behind, you're done. So the good thing about the Raptors is, I mean, it's sort of a blessing in disguise. They had this super hard schedule to begin with. It's almost a double blessing in disguise that they're not healthy, right? Because now, not only do you never ever have to quite go there with we're really an ass team, because you'll never know.
Right.
You could literally just milk injuries. You could just rest guys on alternating nights. You can keep, like, you know what I mean? You're not going to be able to sit Scottie out. But if Scottie continues to play this way, all NBA is sayonara. If you're not on a winning team, you're not making all NBA. I'll tell you that right now. Like, there's no world in Scottie Barnes is going to average 30 points per game and then make all NBA on a losing team. So if the Raptors are out of the playoffs, his all NBA chances are gone. And he should know this, and I hope he does. So I know a lot of his people watch this show. Let him know. If you're not in the playoffs, you're not all NBA. Kiss $45 million goodbye. It's gone. But at that point, could be a blessing in disguise for the Raptors, where you can pivot towards the tank, right? So suddenly, RJ Barrett's got an illness. Emmanuel Quickley's got a cold. Bruce Brown's got a prior engagement. Kelly Olynyk has a mental health crisis. Keep going, just keep going. Uri Shamshay is going to start this game. Boom, and I'm just really encouraged by the youth. I think Grady played a great game tonight. I think the future is very bright. And if that means another high lottery pick next year, I'm for it. If it means a competitive play and run, I'm for it. But the good thing is, if you do end up 2-20, 4-20, something like that, the writing's on the wall. Your season's done.
That's the crazy thing, though. Like, we're not worse than the Hawks. We're not worse than the Bulls. We're not worse than the Hornets. Like, we can legit be the 7 or 8 seed, 9 seed if we wanted to. It's just
if we wanted to, if we wanted to go get smoked by the Celtics in the first round, and if that would be valuable, if that is valuable for us, if we believe that RJ and Grady Dick and I think the Raptors have done the perfect thing. They've looked at the youth and said, prove to us that you're worth building around. And I hope the youth know, if you guys come out and are 10-10 after 20 games, they will totally mortgage some of the future to get you some help right now. They'll
Right.
probably waive Bruno Fernando and use their mid-level exception. They'll probably do something to help this team. But if they're 2-18, they're gonna tear it down.
So
You're
like,
gonna start seeing Bruce Brown, Chris Boucher, all these guys are gonna get sent away. The motivation is gonna go down. Youth is gonna be prioritized. You're gonna see a lot of minutes with Jonathan Mobo. You're gonna see a lot of three-point attempts with Jonathan Mobo, and that's a great way to lose too. I
right.
call it the Jeremy Sohan model, right? It's a Jeremy Sohan tanking model. Should be studied. Should be written about.
Why Bruno though? Like why not Bismack? Like why why not Bismack?
I like Bismack Biyombo so much more.
Like why not Bismack? Like he has connection to the city. I get he's old. And Bruno's young.
That's exactly it. He's
There's
old and he's a worse passer.
there's
Believe it or not, as bad as you think Bruno Fernando is,
I
out
know,
there, Bismack Biyombo is worse.
but I would take Bismack's defense if he created 4 turnovers a game, like over Bruno Fernando at this point. That is
Yeah.
how sick and tired of Bruno Fernando I am through just the preseason in one game. It is
Mhm.
such an energy killer on the court.
It really is. It really is. When you are hanging on by a thread and you have lost your starting point guard and you got both your centers pretty much just throwing passes into the front row, I don't even know what to do. It's very hard to get motivated when every single time you try to get a run, there's a turnover. And again, if people haven't played basketball, they don't realize how much this, like, that stupid ass play where he stepped out of bounds can really kill momentum. And that's why you can't have super error prone players playing in an offense that requires so many decisions.
And like
Rapid, like the faster you have to play, the more your basketball IQ and your read and react shit is going to be exposed. Now, to the theory, the faster you play, the more you develop this. It goes to some extent. You have to be willing to develop it, and you have to show an aptitude to develop it.
Right.
Brady has shown me that he is going to get better and better as we go forward because he is an insanely smart kid. Ulrich has shown me already as an 18-year-old, like I've seen leaps and bounds improvement for him just over the last year. The last time I saw him with NBA Africa Academy to this is like a completely different player. Mobo, super smart, high field player. There's a lot of guys in this system that are just going to get better and better and better. And 2 years from now, people are going to be looking at this team like a 56-win team and be like, how the fuck did this happen? I'll tell you exactly how it's going to happen. It's going to happen by picking the right guys. But with Bruno Fernando, there's like an upper limit. He has been a high turnover player his entire career. Movement offense, no movement offense. Now you're just putting him into a position where he has to make more decisions in the middle of the floor. And he ain't it, man. So he can't even inbound a simple basketball without turning the ball over and killing your momentum. It's a real buzzkill. I'm happy that he redeemed himself after. I think Jamal Shead found him on an alley-oop. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I'm not anti. Like I'm sure he's a good dude. Sure, he's a great guy, right? But like, just not on this team. Like, not like you have to at least do one thing well on this team to make an impact and to make a solid impact. Like, you can't just we don't have the guys to where he can just like stand back in the in the like if we had a Biyombo who could at least play some like solid defense and at least rim run. Like and I get like Bruno's out.
Bruno will I don't remember his stats off by heart, but I remember he had the same rebound rate as Jakob Poeltl, who you're paying $20 million for, and he averages almost as many rebounds per 100 possessions as Jakob Poeltl. That's decent. He's not averaging as many blocks, but he averages some blocks. I think he averages I think he had exactly as many assists per 100 possessions as Jakob Poeltl. So it's the difference is the efficiency, the turnovers, all that stuff. That's the difference. The difference is the defensive metrics, the offensive efficiency, the intelligence. All of that is missing. So if they feel like maybe we can develop a competent backup big, I would say look elsewhere, bro. Like there's plenty of. I would have taken a flyer on Kai Jones before doing this easily. There's like plenty of 21, 22-year-old raw kids out there who could probably do roughly 85% of what he's doing. And if this is 100% of what he's doing, then what is the point? Yeah. Anyways, man, thanks a lot for calling in, Layne. I really appreciate it as always. Always interesting conversation.
Yes, sir. Have a great night, man.
All right. Cheers, man. Bye. Okay. This was a tough way to open the season. I want to thank to the 1,000+ people who chimed in throughout this live. We're going to have you covered every game this year. Rain, shine, doesn't matter. We'll keep going. If one day the Raptors are so bad and we're like Now, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I'm saying, let's say one day the Raptors are like 2-20, and everybody in the world has turned out the Raptors. Nobody's watching these games. They're talking about friggin' baseball during the broadcast. I promise you, I will still be doing post-game lives because I believe in this team long term. I believe in these young players. I believe they deserve your support. I do. And I know that you may not see a Victor Wembanyama on this team. You may not see some super high, pick or whatever, but that's not who we were. That's not what Fred VanVleet was. That's not what Pascal Siakam was. That's not what Kawhi was. That's not what Kyle was. We were the underdog team. We were the scrappy team. You have the building blocks of that. Respect the guys who came out there tonight and played hard. Respect to Chris Boucher, who played hard. Not always, the most effective basketball player, but always plays hard. Respect to Grady Dick, who put in a ton of work this year to get better. The progress is showing. The progress is showing, sir. Scottie Barnes, times will get better. He will have 35-point games, 40 games where you're going to think he's a future league MVP. He's going to have a game like tonight where you think he's a scrub. And he's going to have to, lead when he may not want to lead. He's going to have to say things when he may not want to speak. And that's a part of the growth and maturation process. We're going to have you covered every game because this is my favorite team. And for a long time, for a couple of years, they didn't really play like my favorite team. They didn't play like a team that I wanted to watch play basketball because they were playing this selfish, horrible style of basketball. And tonight may not have been a good exhibition of beautiful basketball, but those times will come. Keep with this team. And of course, if one day there's going to be like 12 people in this, I don't think that's ever going to happen. I don't think we've ever done a live for fewer than 150 people or 100 people. But if at one point there's like so many people have tuned out of this team, people are like, God, like I just want to go watch hockey or something like that. And there's like 14 people in here, we're still going to be doing a live because we don't quit. We're like Jamal Shead. We don't quit. And yeah, hopefully give this video a like on your way out. I'll appreciate it very much. In an hour or so, we will have timestamps on there to make it easier for people who have to navigate this tomorrow. All right. Sean S. saying trade for Koloko. Sure. Yeah. I'll talk to you guys later. And once again, thank you, Sean, Recruiter Dude, KV, Christian, and Noble Venom for the super chats. I appreciate it as always. And if you would like to hear more of my basketball thoughts, or if you would like to watch me get mercilessly trolled, check out the panel tomorrow. I'll be on the panel and probably having a lot of people tell me that Scottie Barnes is Ben Simmons and me having to take it. And I'm going to have to meditate before I go on the panel because they are not going to let me hear the end of this. I bigged up Scottie so much for him to go out and score 9 points is funny, but I'm going to be cool. I will keep my cool. Don't you worry. I will keep my cool. I'll tell people keep the same energy. I'll act like I have a plan. I'll act like Scottie's big break is coming around, but don't worry, man. Scottie worked ruthlessly this summer. He didn't just forget how to play basketball. He had a tough game. It happens to everyone. Okay. Talk to you guys later.